Oh, my goodness, you guys. It has been a day. It's been a long day. Go on, ask me what I've been doing today. Good evening. Still afternoon for me, but I'll allow it. I should apply. When I do the stream where I try to call Dewitte, I'm going to apply to Metro State. Oh, it's going well. It's going very well. So, since we're waiting for people to all gather in, I went to my local library today, and I did a bunch of research on Gary Ridgway, the Green River Killer, and I found out not much useful stuff. I mean, a lot of great stuff about Gary Ridgway himself and like why it happened, why he killed, so many people, how he was caught, how the DNA evidence worked, why the paint flecks on the clothes of the victims led to his arrest, all that good stuff. But it didn't really give me what I was looking for. I'm looking for the locations of the bodies, right? Now, Gary Ridgway was caught. Most of the bodies were found, but not all of them. There are still bodies out there, and I want to kind of dig around some of those sites for fun. So, your name is not Ridgway. Yeah. So I've requested documents from the Seattle Police, King County sheriffs. Those are the ones who did most of the investigations. Kent County, I think, did as well. But I don't think I did get your email on. I believe that's News Now Houston. I didn't see it come in. Feel free to send it again. I'll check again. Are the bodies going to still be around? Some of them maybe. Am I going to find them? Probably not. There was a quote from one of the officers who was saying, even with cadaver dogs, the dogs that are trained to sniff out dead bodies, you can be standing right on top of a gravesite and not even know it. Right? If the dog doesn't smell it, you're never going to find it. So there's still bodies out there. Do I think I'm going to find any of them? No. Would that be cool, though? Yes. And do I think it would be fun to document my little search? I think it would be a good time. But right now, I'm in the planning and research stage. Yes, that is the email, sergeantbluebacon@gmail.com. I did. I got that, Cynthia. I got your link after the stream ended. Unfortunately, it didn't arrive until after. I mean, I definitely a different guy, but this is a weird stream that he did. Like the stage of the Democratic debates. Is Seattle humid? Seattle is very wet during the winter. During the summer, it gets pretty dry. But I don't know. I mean, the bodies are going to be 100% bone by now. But we'll see. Thinking about getting a metal detector. Seeing if I can't find anything like that. A lot of the bodies were naked, but he went back to the bodies. He went back to have sex with them, so maybe he left something behind. Yeah, the bones might not still be around. Who knows? It's very exciting. It's going to be fun. I think it's going to be fun. As someone who was an investigator, the idea of investigating something as big as a serial killer is always fascinating. Just from the knowing how much work would have to go into it, all the paperwork, all the coordination. And so knowing that I'm real close to one of the biggest ones in the United States is, I am inspired to hunt him down. Not to reenact. No, not that kind of inspiration. But I'm definitely thinking about following his trail, documenting it. It should be a good time. All right. So today's live stream is going to be about the what was it? The Real World Police video. Where do I have it up here somewhere? Oh, here it is. All right. The Dewitte Gone Wild Part 2. But before we do that, I found a very interesting news report that I wanted to share with you guys. And let me pop it up here for you. No, yes, shkablamo, right there. So, this is from WPLG Local 10. It was posted April 5th, 2018, over a year ago. And it's about funeral security guards can cause crashes, police say. Now, this isn't about Dewitte's company. This is about a different company. But it is very interesting because it's basically discusses the exact issues that Dewitte found. So, I say we check that out for a few minutes because it's only a few minutes long.
To a local 10 investigation. Saying goodbye to a loved one is a solemn moment for many families, but we're asking tonight, are funeral procession escorts putting people in danger?
We looked into complaints about security escorts skirting the rules of the road, and Local 10 investigative reporter Amy Fiduciary learned the confusion has led to some dangerous incidents. Wailing.
Again, I don't think any of this footage is of Dewitte or his company, but obviously highlights a problem.
Sirens and red flashing lights. They wear uniforms and direct traffic, but they're not police officers.
Yeah, they actually look like cops. You think when you see them, you think it's a cop.
You would think that.
Often have police escorts, but just as often they're led by private security firms, and it can be hard to tell the difference.
The difference between the two is because the police officers are the law, and the private firms must abide by the law. Which
they tend not to, apparently. At least from the ones we're reviewing with Dewitte, and then, of course, whoever they're talking about here. They do say who it is. I don't recognize it.
Terry Wright runs Wright & Young Funeral Home.
Oh.
He's used private companies in the past, but says after several accidents, he prefers to hire officers. That's because police need hundreds of hours of training just to be motormen, and even more to be escort certified for events like funeral processions.
You're looking at the difference between a company that just hires maybe a security guard or some not even security guards versus, you know, a policeman that's trained to deal with traffic and to enter those intersections safely. And
Lieutenant John Carpenter with Miami Police.
That's a good question. Do private security have to get state certified? They do in Florida. They do in every state I've ever worked as far as being a police officer. But, you know, that's pretty limited. I've never heard of a state not requiring a security license. So, yeah, no, they're absolutely supposed to be trained to be security if they're operating as security. And I don't know about receiving extra training to do these escorts. I want to say the word convoy, but that's not right. The processions, that's the word. Funeral processions. I don't know if states require extra training for that. I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't, but to be security, yes, they need to be licensed.
Says that training is key to keeping everyone on the road safe. In most cases, funeral processions have the right of way, but only police have the authority to direct them through a red light. The light.
See that? That's what Dewitte got wrong right there. That's one of the many things he got wrong. Only police, according to this Florida, this was Florida, right? I think it was Florida. According to this thing, only police can direct people through a red light. Now, in Florida, once the procession has gone through a light and it turns red, they can keep going. But they can't just enter when the light is red. Something Dewitte apparently doesn't realize.
Light's already red when you arrive there, and you force your way through anyway, correct?
right, that's what the police can do.
Okay, but a private escort cannot.
Nope.
But we saw
Weird.
private escorts use sirens to force a procession right through red lights, stopping
Can't do that.
and confusing
See those red lights? Civilians can't use those.
oncoming cars.
Dangerous situations, yeah, not.
Nicolas Ayala works at the corner of Opalaca Boulevard and Northwest 7th Avenue and says he sees it all the time.
It's a little bit confusing because they stop basically all the traffic, so people actually don't know what to do with it. If to stop, go forward.
I've seen cars that's been in a procession get hit.
There's no way to know how many accidents happen during funeral processions because it's not a category police can track. But police sources tell me the accidents do happen. According to this police report from Fort Lauderdale, one motorcycle escort ended up going to the hospital after another driver cut him off during a funeral procession.
State guidelines for security companies also prohibit the use of symbols or uniforms that make them look like law.
This part is important, and we'll discuss it after I answer Specklebelly. I think this is a guess, just because police don't have the manpower to do it. Florida is a place where a lot of people go to retire, so a lot of old people dying. These escorts take a lot of manpower to actually conduct. So if the police don't have the manpower to do it, they can't do it. And if a lot of people are dying because they're going to Florida to retire as old people, then it makes sense to have someone else take that up. That's just a guess. That's just my hypothesis. But, yeah, it does seem a little weird that they'd allow the private security. This where it says certain symbols are not allowed. They talk about the 5-pointed star.
For example, the use of 5-point star
Yeah, that one.
badges like this
So Dewitte never used the 5-point
sheriff's
star that I
offices.
know of. So
And
good
those
for him.
red
But
lights and sirens?
When
the
you start
sirens,
using
you
sirens
definitely
and
can't use
horns,
sirens.
then it becomes an issue of whether or not you're impersonating a police officer. And
We learned this escort works for a company called Federal Security
Oh.
Services, owned by the same person who runs Grace Funeral Home in Northwest Miami-Dade.
We're doing a story on procession safety, and
We showed our video to someone working there.
Oh,
I
okay.
can tell you why they use it,
why?
but not on camera.
Not on camera, he
He
says.
told us the sirens are for the safety of the procession. Terry Wright says the safest thing is for everyone to follow the rules.
The people are in a hurry here to get where they're going, so they don't respect services. They don't respect anything.
Amy Viteri, Local 10 News.
I got your email. I'm a. And, wow. I don't know. You think that's. I can discuss that briefly. I can. Oh, boy. Speaking of police impersonators, before we get into the meat and potatoes of this, where was I? Yeah, so this was just sent to me. This is apparently a report. Let me get a little closer so I can see it. A report about a First Amendment auditor who goes by News Now Houston. Stand by us. Earl David Warden. Do we have his name on here? Am I missing this? Read the entire report. All right, I'm going to read it out loud. I'm going to... Oh, man, this is something. Complainant stated officers blank and blank that blank had been sexually assaulted. Complainant stated blank was returning from a friend's house. This is obviously redacted. Friend's house in Pasadena at approximately 1:15? Oh, it zooms in. On 7-4-85. Now, this is... I'm not familiar with all of what they're saying here and how they're writing it. But, let's see. Complainant stated that they were going down to South Ritchie westbound and stopped for a light at Queens Road. Complainant stated blank noticed a white car pull up beside... it's probably... I think they're redacting the gender. Complainant stated they thought the car was an off-duty police car. Complainant stated they drove home and noticed the car following complaints. Oh, man, a lot of complaints. Let me see. Blocking. Oh, okay. So the car pulled behind them, blocking the car, and then they stated they saw a red and blue Kojak light on the rear deck. Described the light as being a small light like the one used on the television show Kojak. They stated that a white male, 23 or 24, was driving the car and asked to see the driver's license. Complainant asked why, and the suspect stated he was investigating a robbery at the 11, maybe the 7-Eleven, located at Harris and South Ritchie. The complainant believed the suspect was a police officer, gave him the driver's license. Suspect then stated he would have to go, or they would have to go back with him, back to the 7-Eleven to be identified. Let me see. They sat in the front passenger seat. Suspect started to drive out of the complex, stopped at the East Haven Road, then got 2 white plastic stripes, flex cuffs, and told them to put their hands behind their back. Complainant asked why they had to be handcuffed. Suspect replied, "It's for my own safety." Oh, boy. So, this is one of the reasons I just hate the idea of people impersonating police officers. Some of them we saw one in my first stream. The guy just wanted to do the right thing. Cool. Well, now he's probably a felon, right? And then you have people like this that are kidnapping people to sexually assault them. That's insane. Now, Dewitte's not this bad. He's bad. He's not, kidnap people to sexually assault them by pretending to be a police officer bad. I'm definitely going to be looking into that. Wow. Yeah, so this guy was convicted of rape because of this. Yeah, you're right. Throwing chairs off a fourth story isn't the act of a stable guy. I do want to reiterate, the report I just read was not Dewitte. That was a different guy. But it highlights the dangers of impersonating a police officer. But, speaking of Dewitte, 31, I do believe we are. The Army veteran Albuquerque who was impersonating a cop and basically did a drive-by with his kids in the car. I don't know that maybe. I might have seen that. Send it my way. I'll check it out. All right, but let's check out. Let's go take a look at Dewitte. Now, I have not seen this. I'm very excited. I figured I wanted to get all up in my grill fresh for you guys. Is he former military police? Hold on. We're gonna pause. We're gonna pause this because what was that? April 11/20. I'm just saying April. APR 1125 says, "Now's your chance, brother. Ask away. I work for Metro State at this moment. Just ask." Oh, I'm milking this Dewitte train. I am endlessly fascinated by this. I'm gonna talk about it with all of you. All right. I'm gonna call you 1125 just for brevity. What's Dewitte like? What's he like in person? Earl hunted Nazi in South America. I mean, that's the place to hunt them. But do I have my doubts? Yeah, I do. All right, get back to me on that. Oh, wait. Work from here. Yeah, he's got serious issues. You're telling us. Yeah, he's a problem. I've gotten a couple reports from a few people about working for him or knowing people that worked for him. So it's interesting. I would love to see Dewitte succeed and do this properly, but I think it might be a little late for that. So let's check out this real world police video on Dewitte. It is Dewitte Gone Wild Part 2, and we're gonna have a good time here.
Sit tight, sir.
Wait, hold on. Let me get my audio working first.
Sit tight, sir. Please don't continue.
Oh, by the way, if anyone has a problem with language, Dewitte likes to swear, so yeah, just a heads up. I believe, he has a good heart, but he has two personalities, essentially. I think he thinks he's doing the right thing, but the problem is he's not, necessarily. All right, let's get into this.
You. Hey, fuck boy.
Speaking of strong language, hold on.
Sit tight, sir. Please don't continue. Hey, fuck boy. Hey, piece of shit, fuck boy.
Oh, I like. No, please don't go.
Motherfuck, fuck boy.
Ooh.
What?
Oh, damn. Okay. I don't really have much to say to that. That's impressive.
It's that FedEx truck. Watch that FedEx. Obviously, he's a fucking... What are you directing, dog? What are you directing,
Obviously.
dog? Stop fucking arguing. Get the
Was that one of his own people he's yelling at? Hold on.
dog. What are you directing, dog?
Who's he talking to here?
FedEx. Obviously, he's a fucking... What are you directing, dog?
He's got to be, because there's the other motorcycle.
What are you directing, dog?
Trying to move that car back.
Stop fucking arguing. Get the...
That's not an argument. That's an answer. He asked a question, he got an answer. That's not an argument. Yeah, no, you're right, Brian. He's not allowed to hold an intersection, direct traffic. Like, that's not how the statute's supposed to work. Basically, the intent, to my knowledge, is you have a car in the front with the purple and amber lights. You have a car in the back with the purple and amber lights, and you move together as a unit. You don't, drive 100 miles an hour to go stop an intersection so that your group can go through. You get to the intersection. If the light's green, you go through it. If the light turns red, you get to keep on going through it. That's what the statute allows. You don't get to go through red lights. You don't get to enter on a red. You don't get to direct traffic. You don't get to issue orders, especially not when you look like a police officer and people are going to reasonably think that you are a police officer. That's one of the biggest issues, is that he thinks he has the authority that he doesn't have, and people obey his instructions because they think he's something he's not based on his appearance. Now, his appearance is not illegal, but his actions utilizing his appearance are. So it's a problem. He's built this look, and it's coming back to bite him a lot. And people appreciate his look. The people that hire him love that he looks like police officers, and good for them. But everyone else is pretty furious with him right now. See, that's what I thought. Yeah. Time to the comments. It says, you're right about him doing more and more over the years. He used to run the escorts perfectly, very clean and safe. And we saw some of his earlier videos from a few years ago where he wasn't like this. There were a few things wrong, but nothing like there is now. It seems to me that he had been doing it. No one had stopped him. He escalated. No one stopped him. He said, yeah, I can do this then because no one's stopping me. And from what I understand, he worked with the local police. So he probably thought, oh, well, if they're allowed to do that and we're working together, then I'm allowed to do that. And they never stopped me. And therefore, I'm allowed to do that because I'm doing this job as well. And that's an issue. And I really wish it had been addressed with him earlier because I'm not out to get the guy. But the fact that he's doing all these things is very frustrating. The fact that he thinks, the lack of professionalism is one of the things that is frustrating to me. Because if I ever saw one of my officers behaving like that, they'd be on desk duty forever. I would ruin them temporarily. I'd make them know it was wrong. That's for sure. All right. Oh my God, dude! Just stop. Just stop. Is he going the wrong way? Or is he fit? What the? He's moving. Weird.
All the way over.
No, that's exactly it. It's the combination of him giving orders and looking like a police officer and doing all this stuff. It's just the culmination of everything. The totality of the circumstances is the phrase that likes to get thrown around.
Stay there! Get out of the way now! What's wrong? I'm sorry?
You guys law enforcement?
Are you okay?
I'm great. Are you law enforcement?
I'm asking you a question.
Oh. So he's being asked if he's law enforcement. Oh, please, I'm a. Yeah, get me whatever you want. I'll definitely look into that. I knew there was something going on with him. I didn't know it was that.
I'm sorry.
All right. Are you guys law enforcement? He refuses to answer the question. That's a problem.
Are you okay?
I'm great. Are you law enforcement?
I'm asking
That's
you a question.
Huge
Are
problem.
You okay?
If you're not law enforcement, I'm not stopping for you.
Listen, if you keep going, we'll figure it out real fast.
Nope. No, that's a huge problem. That right there is a huge problem. Yeah. See, we know that this guy thinks he's law enforcement and is trying to figure it out. If someone asks you if you're law enforcement and you're not, and you continue to lead them on to believe that you are, that's going to come back to bite you. Now, police generally are required to identify themselves as law enforcement unless it's dangerous to do so. So if you ever ask someone if they're law enforcement and they don't answer, you have a legal defense to keep doing what you're doing. So this guy could have driven off and he should have been fine, even if this was a real police officer. Because his argument would be, I didn't know they were police officers. They refused to identify that they were. Cool. That's going to get thrown out. Yeah.
Let's figure it out real fast.
Let's figure it out real fast.
Identify yourself to me. What agency?
Yep. We're with Metro State. We're a state-certified agency. You sit right there.
Once again, never says he's a police officer. Doesn't deny it. This is important as well.
What agency?
We're with Metro State. We're a state-certified agency.
That doesn't tell him that he's not law enforcement. And this right here,
So you sit right there, please.
that's an unlawful detention.
Sir.
Well, he said
With Metro
please.
State, we're a state certified agency. You sit right there, please, sir.
He has a legal defense, but it's not a very good one.
Come on, man, get out of the fucking way. I gotta deal with this fucking idiot. Move. Sit tight, sir. Please don't continue. Hey, fuck boy. Hey, piece of shit, fuck boy. Motherfuck, fuck boy.
Say reach for it? Hold on. First of all, yes, generally police funerals are escorted by their fellow officers. But you can request police escorts for civilians. They don't have to give it to you, but you can request it. So sometimes military funerals, the local police would like to get involved because local police and military sometimes work hand in hand. So, like, for example, National Guard will sometimes help with emergencies, flooding, that sort of thing. I know that the local police around the base I worked at, we worked together a lot. There was an incident, there was a train crash near me a few years ago, and we worked together with them. That was a whole thing. So, like, they help each other out. If it's an important figure, if it's a political figure, sometimes they'll do a funeral procession. They'll escort them. I don't really know how it works. I've never been part of the actual escort, but yeah, generally police escort police. But there are times you can request a police escort, and maybe they'll say yes, maybe they'll say no.
Fuck boy. Hey, piece of shit, fuck boy. Mother.
Yeah, I think he put his hand on his little pepper ball gun there. That's a threat. That might even be considered assault in the state of Florida. Now, throat's a little bleh. It's the coronavirus. So in many states, assault doesn't require you to actually hit someone. You just have to put someone in reasonable fear for their safety. So if you put your hand on a weapon and you're trying to give orders, that might be enough to charge him. Probably wouldn't be enough to convict him. But we're looking at some serious issues here.
Fuck boy.
Oh. I think it's only brandishing a weapon if you actually take it out of the holster. Let's check it. Improper exhibition of a firearm. All right, let's read through that, shall we? Nope, that's not what I meant to do. Yes, battery is the touching. Now, there are some states where assault and battery are combined to the same thing, so assault can include battery. All right, improper exhibition of dangerous weapons or firearms. If any person having or carrying any dirk, sword, cane, firearm, electric weapon, or device or other weapon shall, in the presence of one or more persons, exhibit the same in a rude, careless, angry, or threatening manner, not in necessary self-defense, the person so offending shall be guilty of misdemeanor of the first degree, punishable as provided in those statutes. Misdemeanor of the first degree is up to a year in jail. So, it would have to be exhibited in a rude, careless, angry, or threatening manner. I think it requires him to have drawn it out of the holster, as opposed to just putting his hands on it. So, oh, yeah, the reason Dewitte said it was a police escort is because they were escorting a fallen police officer. Then why wouldn't they have had the police do it? Right? That's weird. Especially since they know him. Or they know about... I don't know. It makes sense. It makes sense if he's escorting a police officer that he'd say a police escort. I will give him a pass for that one, if that is true. So, yeah, I think that's not brandishing a weapon. Could it be assault, though? Yeah. I know. Someone was saying that it looks like, just looking at it, that he has at least $500,000 in equipment. And I would agree, he has a significant amount of money that has been put into this company. I don't know how much he makes per escort, but good God. Maybe I'm in the wrong type of profession. Battery. I'll check it later. Definitely what he's doing is pretty big deal. Monopoly on the Orlando area is more than you guys see about that. I mean, That doesn't surprise me. He'd have to with the amount of stuff he's got. Like, there's, I mean, look at this. Look at this vehicle here, this Metro State vehicle. There's nothing about this that does not say police officer to me. If I saw this, I would say that is a police officer, and I would have zero doubts. Absolutely none. The only thing that would tip me off is there isn't a location. Generally, there's a location. Yeah. Anyway, let's go on. Get a nice little funk of jam
Go
going.
down and get that exit.
Okay, nothing wrong here.
Well, let me get this traffic.
Well, sort of. He's still blocking traffic. Now they're making a left turn. Everyone else has to yield to him, so that's fine.
We're rolling.
So we're seeing that he has 1 tow truck, 3 ambulances, 2 Chargers, 1 F-250, over 10 bikes, a Tahoe Impala, etc. What does he do with the ambulances? Does Florida allow that, the private ambulance shenanigans? Because I haven't really looked into that much. But we saw him on the WWE thing, and he didn't have any equipment in there. So I'm wondering, do they have licensed EMTs? Do they actually perform medical anything? Or is it just, oh, you want to go to the emergency room? Yeah, we'll take you as like a taxi service type thing. That's what I'd like to know.
Make sure your cameras are on, gentlemen. Drew, the next time that light goes green, I want you to get up in that and pull up. Well, we got to be careful.
All right, I have no problems with what's happening now. This looks right. Non-emergency medical transport company. That makes sense.
You can't flush them left because all those cars are trying to turn left. If you try to flush them left when the light cycles red, you're going to flush them right into traffic. They're going to get hit.
Oh, you're right, James. The ambulance thing could get complicated. Because he can be liable. If they do try to provide any sort of medical aid, they could be liable if they get it wrong.
Hold on, it's changing. Hold up! Hurry up! Go, 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 go! Go, go! Last vehicle's a silver.
All right.
Suzuki SUV.
So that right there, that was done well. That's what it's supposed to look like. Ooh, that's a good question, Gary. So if it's not an emergency, can they use sirens and lights? Personally, not knowing the Florida statute on it, I don't think they can. If it's not an emergency. Because technically, if it's not an emergency vehicle, can they use emergency lights? They might still be able to use ambers. I don't know. That's a great question, though. That's worth looking into. If I hear more about that, I'll do another live stream, having done a bunch more research into it.
Hey!
Uh-oh.
Stay in the line! Go, Brooklyn, go, Brooklyn, go, Brooklyn. Roger.
All right, the light is green. They're holding the traffic so that the procession can go through.
I can't
But
hear you. Say again.
The procession isn't near them, so that's a problem. They're not supposed to get too far away from the procession, otherwise they're not protected by the statute going through the intersection. So what they're doing right now, yeah, not so much. The only thing saving them right now is the light is green. If it turns red, that's a problem.
Roger.
Yeah, he can't block off this intersection like that.
Roger.
Where's his funeral procession? Where is it? It can't be that far back.
Hey!
That's got to be it.
Go past.
That's right. It's a equipment violation. So, sorry to keep pausing it, but this is some good information coming out. License sirens can be installed. That sounds correct to me. I know all this for a fact. Sirens can't be used on public roads. That also sounds correct to me. Now, this is based off of... I looked into this back when I was on the East Coast, not Florida. So I'm not saying I have any real knowledge on Florida statutes regarding this. But yeah, sirens can't be used on public roads. That's generally how it works. And it's only an equipment violation, not a moving violation. Makes sense. So not a huge deal. You're still going to pay money, but it's not going to be necessarily a criminal act.
Ryan.
All right, so there's a procession. That took way too long to get to him. He is way too far ahead. He can't hold these people there because they're not in the procession. They're not making it, unless they're making a right turn. Oh, this is the guy. This is the law enforcement guy. Yeah, no, he blocks it way ahead of the procession. And that would be fine if the procession was there, just to make sure no one enters it by accident. He can't go into an intersection and hold it. That's not something he can do. So I don't know why he's holding this traffic if they're not... Because this guy, there's no way he's going to go into the procession. If I were doing this, I'd be like, look, sir, we're a funeral procession company, or we're a funeral escort company. You are good to keep going as long as you don't enter this procession. You'll recognize the procession by seeing the flashing lights. The front and rear vehicle will have amber and purple, and then all vehicles within the procession will have their hazards on. Please don't enter my procession. Please feel free to move forward at your leisure. Something like that. Like that is the way to do it. He doesn't have to yell at this dude like this.
I'm sorry?
You guys law enforcement?
Are you okay?
I'm afraid, are you law enforcement?
I'm asking you a question. Are you okay?
If you're not law enforcement, I'm not stopping for you.
Listen, if you keep going, we'll figure it out real fast.
Let's figure it out real fast.
Florida Statute 316, 1974.
That's an interesting point you make. Talk to Florida Highway Patrol about blocking intersections, and it can be done. Any given metro unit, they're technically the lead vehicle, so therefore when we lawfully enter, we can sit in it. That's interesting, because I would have thought that, because the statute says that all vehicles are supposed to stay as close together as possible. Let me look into that. Hold on. Because it's interesting that you, that help. If Florida Highway Patrol is saying no, that's fine, that's probably why he's not getting hemmed up on it. Florida statute, funeral procession. Tape. All right, let's give this the old eyeball here. Check it out. All right, funeral lead vehicles means any authorized law enforcement or non-law enforcement motor vehicle properly equipped pursuant to subsection 2. Okay, yeah, so that could count. I seems reasonable. Lawfully enters intersection. Okay. All vehicles compromising a funeral procession shall follow the preceding vehicle in the funeral procession as closely as is practical and safe. So that is my concern. Is sure, he can enter, right, and he can hold it, but can he hold it that far out? Because they're supposed to be following each other as closely as is practical and safe, and if they're not doing that, then does this really apply? And I'm not sworn in to practice law in Florida, so I can say for sure, but this is definitely something that would concern me if I was looking into this. Yeah. That's interesting, though. It's interesting that the funeral procession might be able to go that far out.
It says we have the right of way with emergency vehicles. You
This
need to
poor
sit
guy.
tight, sir.
No, I don't.
You need to sit tight.
Answer my question.
I'm videotaping everything
I don't
right
care. I
now.
don't care.
I'll get your tag number. If you continue the way you are, we'll
I'm
have to
asking
take
you a
care of the
question. If
situation.
you're law
I need you to
enforcement,
sit tight.
Would you let me speak? If you're law enforcement, identify yourself to me. What agency?
We're with Metro State. We're a state certified agency. You sit right there, please, sir.
Do you have?
Thank you.
Do you have the? Can you write me a citation?
I see the argument. That's not a bad argument. I feel like it's asking for trouble. The argument is that it's so that the procession can continue on its way without stopping, so therefore the argument is made that we are as close as possible to effectively do our job. I mean, there is still room for doubt. If a police officer saw that and thought, no, it doesn't need to be that far away, there could still be issues, but that's a reasonable defense. I'll accept that. As far as holding this guy, if he's not entering the procession, Dewitte doesn't have the lawful authority to hold him there. I mean, if this guy enters the procession, then he's in violation of the Florida statute because he's not yielding to the procession. But to my knowledge, not all lanes of the highway can be held. So It's that I think is really what's getting him right now. Why is Dewitte video recording his actions? Well, it's not a bad idea. Because if someone has an issue, there's my body camera. I can say, nope, didn't happen the way it went down. Now, the problem is that it does seem to be happening the way people are complaining about. So, you know, was it a good idea for him to record it? Maybe not. I would say no, since the police have gone through his body camera footage and are using it against him at this time. Yeah, I don't understand why he's stopping this truck. I mean, a stop, sure, cool. Having a conversation, cool. But it shouldn't have been addressed the way it was addressed, I don't think. And that's fair. No, the fact that the problem the problem is that it isn't their determination to make. It's typically the Florida Highway Patrols. All these random little cities don't know or care about, or don't care or know about 316.197.4 well enough to enforce it, nor do they care until now. That happens a lot. Now, as someone who enforces federal law, there are federal laws that I'm very familiar with. But then when I talk to civilian police that have enforced law in my area, they're like, what are you talking about? Is that really a thing? I go, yes. How do we not know that? And so there are highway laws that I certainly don't know because I was never a highway patrolman. And so I can definitely see that these cities don't know the statute. They see the statute and go, oh, interesting, weird. And unless you're very familiar with it, you're not going to do much about it because no one wants to enforce a statute they don't know much about. Well, generally no one does because then the problem would be that you're incorrectly enforcing a statute and there can be legal repercussions against you and your department. So if there's that risk, people generally try not to incorrectly enforce the statute. So, yeah, I can see that being a big contributor to why this wasn't addressed earlier.
Come on, man, get out of the fucking way! I gotta deal with this fucking idiot. Move! Sit tight, sir! Please don't continue! Hey, fuck boy! Hey, piece of shit, fuck boy! Motherfuck, fuck boy! Go, cars go! I got this shit. Let's fucking go! Brooklyn, go back them up. Go figure it out. I got this shit. Go to the turning lane, recycle. The right side, I don't care. Motherfuck. Last vehicle's 97. Last vehicle's 97. Motor one's moving.
Now, as far as speeding goes, we've seen videos where definitely speeding. But the fact that he's going faster than the vehicles next to him is not a good indicator. Because we can assume that as a procession, they're going a little slower. So, for those of you who are thinking that maybe that is an issue here, couldn't say for sure. He does say that. He does say, let's get up to 100. So, we can assume that he does speed. I'm just saying that this might not be one of those incidences. And I have an email from someone who's in the last stream yesterday who's saying that he was asked to go 100 miles an hour in the rain. And we're seeing if we can do a live interview to discuss some of the things regarding the company in general. But yeah, you're right, Brian B. Under Florida legal guidelines, a citizen can only detain or arrest a person that's committing a misdemeanor of the first degree in their presence. Or, I don't know if this is Florida generally, or if you have reason to believe they've committed a felony, and that information comes from a reliable source. That might not be from Florida, but generally throughout the United States, and it's different in every state, so don't take this as, oh, this is how it is in my state. Generally, it's if someone commits a misdemeanor of the first degree or a Class A misdemeanor in your presence, which is generally a misdemeanor that is a public safety issue, so assault, battery, bigger things, big crimes, right? In your presence, you can hold them for police. For police, the police have to be en route as soon as possible, right? Once you start holding them and making sure they can't leave, police have to be contacted immediately. Now, if you have reason to believe someone has committed a felony and your source is good, or you believe your source is good, then you can still hold them. So what he's doing is, I mean, if someone entered the funeral procedure, it would be, gosh, what would it be? Violations, a non-criminal traffic infraction. He can't hold someone for that. So there are issues with that, for sure, with his understanding of what he's allowed to do, how he's allowed to hold people. Because he can warn people, do not enter this procession, but once they're in there, there's not much they can do about it, because he's not sworn law enforcement. So that's one of the things I think that's going to get him.
Hey! Get over!
Conservation officer checking your hunting license and your A400 technically detainment. I believe so. I was never a conservation officer. I worked with some of them, though. I believe they are sworn law enforcement. And if they're checking, if they have reason to believe that you are, I think if you have the license, you're required to identify, or to present it to an officer upon request. It's one of the conditions of having the license. So if they ask for it, yes, technically, I believe that is a detention. I believe.
Now, all the way! Stay there!
I do want to address that, APR. You've been harassed for simply driving a Metro car off the clock, a take-home car. Several people have quit, and you say that help is needed. I believe it. I think Metro State's getting a lot of bad press, and they have been for a while. I've been looking at reviews of the company, reports over the last few years. There's some Reddit posts talking about these guys before these videos even came out. I think there are a lot of issues that need to be addressed. I don't think necessarily the company should be shut down. I think that the service provided is good, because people do seem very happy with the service that is provided. However, it has to be done appropriately, not just so that Dewitte stays out of any more trouble, but so that the employees aren't being told the wrong thing and believing it. Because I think this is a great service. I think it's just right now, it's gotten to the point where it is not being done appropriately. And there are some big concerns about how it is being conducted. But again, I didn't work in Florida, so there might be things wrong with what I'm saying.
Get out of the way now!
I believe it. I believe that they like the look, but don't like all the extra BS. Where are we at? Alright, halfway through.
No, it's me, dog. Here. Watch this line. Watch this line. Make sure they don't fucking get in. You got a red, so.
Here's a question for you, APR. What has the Highway Patrol said about the use of sirens? Because to my knowledge, they shouldn't be used. Like what he's doing now, you heard him hit his sirens. My interpretation of the statute, I haven't seen anything that would allow an exception for this type of siren use. Other question, I've heard reports that Dewitte has claimed from multiple people that he was in the military, specifically in 18 Bravo, I think it was, which is Special Forces Weapons Sergeant. Now, to be a weapons sergeant, you generally have to be in for 3 is there. I think I've seen it in under 3, but generally 3 to 5 is the common time frame to be a sergeant, and we know that he was convicted as a sex offender at the age of 24 or 25, which would only give him 6 years to become a sergeant, which is reasonable. But he's also said that he was a police officer to someone. Supposedly, allegedly, he's told someone that he was 18 Bravo and a police officer. But he only has 6 years to do either of those things, because once he becomes a registered sex offender, they're kicking him out of the Army, and he's not becoming a police officer. So to be a police officer and an 18 Bravo within that amount of time, highly suspicious, especially since he's already a felon. So at the age of 18. So, I mean, maybe he could have been an 18 Bravo as a felon. Couldn't have been a police officer. I would sincerely doubt that. So I'm curious if he's told other people that, and if there's actual evidence that that is true. Technically illegal, but massively overlooked. Yeah, it sounds about right. Military stuff, serious doubts about. Now, I'm not. That's fair. I have those doubts as well, and I'm not saying that he has said these things. I'm saying that I've been told he said these things. I don't have a way of necessarily fact-checking that, but it is still something worth pointing out that I definitely want to ask more questions about. So to your knowledge, he was enlisted, but he's never been law enforcement. Okay. I mean, I might be able to do a request for information through the military. I could probably contact a few people. I have to do it properly though. I can't just be like, "Hey, check this for me." He used to be able to, and I gotta play it safe because I don't have access to those systems anymore. To the databases. But I know people who do, so I can't just be asking willy-nilly because that's illegal. I mean, APR, if you want to do a call-in, if you want to do a live interview, I'd be down for that. If you're interested, no pressure. Maybe you know, you can't contractually, or it's a busy day for you or whatever. If you're interested now or in the future, that would be a lot of fun. I think we could get some really good information from you, because I assume there's a lot of misinformation being put out, and I'm not trying to also be a source of misinformation, but I'd love to know more and sort of get the details behind it. So, he's told several people he's worked for the police. Clever wording. Yeah, so let me know. SergeantBlueBacon@gmail.com is my email if you want to schedule something in the future. Or if you want to do it right now, we could probably arrange something. Let me know. And we're going to keep going with this.
All the way over! Stay there!
All right, let me pull up. We're about to, ladies and gentlemen, an unscheduled live interview. Let me see if I can sing to myself as I pull it up. Guy is all about semantics. He plays a pretty good game with that semantics. Like I'm impressed by his ability to give an impression of one thing when not actually saying anything that is directly related to it. Like when he's like, he gives the impression he's a police officer, but never actually says he's a police officer. Well, there are a couple times I think he slipped up, but for the most part, I'm impressed. Let me see. How do I send an invite to this? Sure wish I was better at this. All right. Well, while I figure this out, let's keep watching this.
Stay there! Recycle, watch that. The last vehicle's a silver. Are you ready, folks? Sorry, I'm on your left, folks.
Yeah, the judge knows better. All right. I'm going to put a link to my Discord. And anyone who's in this stream, feel free to join. I just ask that you stay out of the voice channel. Stay in the general channel. This link will expire, I think, in 24 hours. So, there you go. And I've been planning on sending this one out anyway. But there is the link. If you have Discord, great. Again, guys, if you all want to join, that way you can send things to me a little more easily. Great, but just stay out of the voice channel for right now. On your phones. You can use your laptop. I don't know if Discord will work on a phone. That's a good question. Oh, snap. We got people joining. Here they come. All right, I'm no expert with Discord. It's just a thing. So, that link, if you click that link, it should work with a laptop. Otherwise, oh man, we're getting all sorts of people. All right, I'm going to keep going with this while we figure that out. Okay. Discord is a a voice chat program. It's pretty neat. It's useful. It's Metro 8. Oof.
Let's 50-50 Aloma. We need a 50-50 Aloma. Drew, put Ryan and Brooklyn. You move on. Lights green. Let's get it now. Ryan, grab far. Listen to me. Ryan, grab far. Photos 97. Photos gonna grab near. Ryan, grab far. Photos grab near. Near.
Okay, light screen. Okay. They had already entered the intersection, so that's fine.
Ryan, why did you leave the light, Ryan? Ryan!
Is this where he starts yelling? Oh,
Shut
yeah.
up! Ryan, why did you leave the light? Dog, you... Watch your six, watch your six, watch your six.
Perfect. Multiple shots fired. I'm not sure it would work like that.
What is fucking going on?
Wait. What just happened? He didn't. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. He's going the wrong way down a highway.
Get the fuck out of the way! Drive! Drive!
Is that still his procession?
Go!
Yeah, it looks like it's still his procession. All right, it's definitely illegal. I understand what he was doing,
Ryan, get
but
these fucking cars front. Stop
that's
that silver car! Stop that fucking silver car! What the fuck are you sitting there for? Flush these cars, Ryan! Ryan! Brooklyn, wave these cars! Holy fuck. Who
all right, sounds good.
Brooklyn, I need them out of the way, dog. I needed them out of the way, dog. The funeral's in that lane. You need to control that intersection. No one move.
He has a bit of a temper, yes. Crazy. I haven't getting flashbacks to the hunt for Red October.
Start moving. Make sure you stay on your air hole. Stay on your air hole hard. And get up here as fast as you can to the next function. Ryan, get this car out of the way. Stop. Dude, you're not paying attention. This is what I need. Stay there! What are you directing, dog? What are you directing, dog?
I was trying to move that car back.
Stop fucking arguing.
That's not an argument. That's an answer. The statute doesn't say no siren or air horn. It says, or it doesn't say anything about a siren or air horn. There are other statutes that don't, that say when you can use a siren or air horn, and that statute doesn't really meet that criteria. So, if that makes sense. I guess that's it. And he's doing his thing. So, there's a lot that we see him doing right in this one. There's still a lot that we see him doing wrong, though. So, let me, you know what, we can check if it says anything about, siren. Nope, nothing siren. How about horn? It doesn't contain the word horn. I know it says stuff about lights, and, but it doesn't mention sirens at all. And since they're not an emergency vehicle, I don't think they're authorized to use horns. APR was saying, oh, this is loading. Watch this video on dignitary protection detail. Dignitary protection, where's that? Is that on his channel? Let me see. And that's a good point that APR is bringing up. That we're seeing the worst. We're seeing the worst footage from all of this. And I'm sure there's some really good, there is some good footage here I've seen. Oh yeah, there's a question that says purple or amber. Technically, the way that's written, I've always seen that interpreted as you can do either or. Since there's nothing that specifically says you can only do one, purple or amber is usually interpreted as purple and amber, but does not require both of them to be present. You can have one or the other, or if you really want both, you can do both. So generally, that's how it's interpreted in my experience. Now, if Florida wanted to not interpret it that way, that's up to them. It's fine. All right, let's see. I was looking up dignitary protection detail. As far as the speed, look at the light poles on the right-hand side of the road. Spaced about 200 feet apart. That's a pretty good reference. I might have to calculate that. Service in the city of Ocoe's? Goes to police motor school. I do like that they go to the motor school. Just see what your call sign would be. That's what I'm thinking. APR as well is it doesn't require exclusivity. I don't know if this is what you were referring to. There's no audio.
I got too much going on right now. All right, sorry. Where are you at? I'll come back to you. I'm everywhere today. That's a nice bike, though. How's that ride?
Who's... Oh.
Excuse me, 1 second. Sorry, I gotta move. Jess, I need you to take my light. Take my... Where are you at? I'll come back
this isn't...
to you. I'm everywhere.
Is this one of his? It's got the same symbol that he uses on his website. Dignitary Run. One of the older videos. I don't... He's calling this guy Sergeant. I don't think...
refuse to listen to me. I told him...
I don't think this is one of his. All right. One of his older videos, though, he says. Dignitary. Let's go to all his videos. How'd it go, Humberto? I don't know why I said it like that. There we go. Dignitary protection. We got copyright music. Yeah. All right. Legislative services. See, this seems right. You know, you hold the lane. Oh, that's nice. I like that footage. I'm going to be real. I like that footage. Are you here? To my knowledge, yes. That's Discord. All right. Okay. Nice footage. Oh, okay. Oh, it did say Orlando police officer. Okay. I missed that. See, you got the two in the front. That's what I'm used to. Unfortunately, we can't hear what he's saying because I gotta keep that music not playing. Okay. Oh, you see that cut right as he's about to go over that yellow line again. Looking at, nope. Okay. Gary. Yeah, that was my problem, TX Packet, when I first saw this. I was like yelling at people like, look at this guy, and they're like, we don't care. I'm like, you weren't police officers, so you wouldn't. But this is a big deal to me. He started, I want to say he started it 10 years ago. I've heard longer. I know their website's been up for 7. Send link to the Discord. Got it? Stand by. We'll let this continue running while I do that. Alright, invite people. If you guys haven't seen it, feel free to join in as well. Just try to stay off the voice channel so that we're not overlapping and confusing each other. Oh yeah, no, I've upset people. I used to yell when I'm in the car, like, get off your phone, right? And the people I'd be with were like, what was that? I'm like, sorry, I'm still in police mode. Right? I've calmed down, though. $80 miles an hour. That's definitely faster than he'd be allowed to there. Alright, I'm just holding this intersection well. Ha! I think you know why not Blue Waffle. Ah, APR is here. Alright, APR, if you go into the voice channel, I'll type it for you. Click on the voice channel. Boom. Have I seen Dewitte's house? I have not. It's going to be on the left side under text channels. So you're going to see text channels, general, and underneath that voice channels, and then general. And then if you click on the voice channel, you pop in. You should be seeing me in there. I know, Discord's a little weird if you're not used to it. I'm still figuring it out. I don't use it that much. I don't do anything crazy with it. I use it. I just don't know too much about it. I really should, though. I should learn more. Especially with all of you in here now. What do we got? We got 8 online. Nice. I do not hear you. If you're saying things wrong. Open volume mixer and let me up the Discord noise right there. And we're going to try to make sure you are audible. Test, test. Is mine working? What's going on with mine? We're doing this live. All right, I'm going to keep this running for you guys, just so you have something to watch while we figure this out. All right, I see your name. I don't know why everything's muted. Stand by. Alright, I gotta get a little closer to my screen here. Ah! Nice new adventure date. That's a good question. Alright. My account, streamer mode enabled. No! Don't enable streamer mode, you weirdo. That fix it? Alright, your light is... Your mic is lighting up. Yeah. What is it doing? It's appear in streamer. I think it's in streamer mode, which I don't want it to be. Let's see what sounds. All sound effects. Test, test? No. Testing. That's not it. There it is. Alright. Output to headphones. Voice activity. Attenuation. No. All right. All right, I'm in. I don't hear you. That's because my headphones are off. All right. Try saying something. All right, it's not working anymore. Are you are you talking? All right, I see you're green. Why can't I hear you? What is happening? Use your volume up. Yeah, that's still working. Good question. How do 31 Bravo protect themselves while off duty on base? We don't. Don't base commanders make you check all firearms into the base armory? Yeah, we don't get to carry service pistols around. But I've never really felt like I needed protection on base. For the most, well, that's not entirely true, but for the most part. All right, APR. Not. You can hear me. I can't hear you. Your thing is gray for some reason. What if I mute you and unmute you? You're turning green though. What if I just directly call you? All right, try this. Folks, we're having some issues. This was not planned. Otherwise, I would have made sure this was ready to go. Beforehand, my audio seems good. What about this? Is that doing something? That, I mean, that's what I'm trying to do. Oh yeah, maybe it's no, because we've done it through Discord before. Oh, I have to verify my account. What is going? It's a new Discord channel, folks. It's crazy right now. All right, someone say something. So you're turning green. Well, I'm not hearing anything. Let me go back to my user settings. Voice and video.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. Hold on. Wait, say something again.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Oh, Jesus Christ. Yes. Okay.
Okay.
It's very, very loud. I had you turned up on everything. All right. Hold on. Let me turn you down.
Okay, how about now?
All right, that's better. Okay. That scared the bejesus out of me. Oh, all right. Whew. We can hear each other now. All right, so the question being about you and your Metro State employment. How did you get employed? How did that start?
But that's not entirely true, for the most part. Okay, so yeah, just one person at a time, if that's cool. Blue, I'll talk to you, man. There's a little bit of a delay, so I'll try to work with it.
So the question was, how did you get employed by Metro State? What brought you to that company?
What brought me to Metro was actually running into one of their vehicles a couple of years ago. I worked security for several years. I saw one of their vehicles and, the wording Metro State. I didn't see any B license number or anything like that. So I thought it was a little peculiar. I went over, started talking to one of the guys that had the vehicle. He was telling me about it.
Nice. And so they said, hey, talk to this guy. And at what point did you've met Dewitte, I'm guessing, Jeremy?
Yeah, the delay is kind of throwing me off. However, long story short, I talked to him for a while. He said, yeah, we do funeral escorts. I thought the vehicles were cool. I thought escorts were cool because I hadn't ever done any or seen any companies that run escorts in Orlando. You kind of see videos about it here and there. So I tried it out, and yeah, I've worked for Dewitte personally on and off for years.
Okay.
One of the only remaining employees left at this point. Unfortunately, a lot of other people have left because of all the publicity. You know, one thing that kind of sucks, and the point that I want to make that a lot of people aren't understanding is, you know, all of us are being affected by this. There's a lot of good guys, you know, that do this, that depend on this. You know, we're running an average of 10 plus escorts a week.
Oh, wow.
And because of the antics, and I'll call it what it is, it's on display for everybody to see. I consider Jeremy not only an employer, I try to be his friend. I consider him a friend. I know him personally. I've known him for years. However, he struggles with these anger issues and these impulse issues, and nobody really knows what that's about. You know, I'm going to be really honest with you. We're trying to work on that internally. Every time I have an issue with him, I make sure that I call him on it and I stand my ground with what my issue is, to try to lead him in the right direction, to try to be the voice of reason, if you will, because, you know, he does. He berates us. You know, he talks down to us. It's a personality issue, and most people just say, you know what, hey, I'm out of here, and they quit.
Sure.
However, I'm one of the only people that's kind of said, you know what, no, you know, it's just my personality. If I have something to say, I'm going to say it. And I'm also very knowledgeable of the law surrounding what I do. So that would include, you know, Chapter 493 relating to security, and that would also include the specific statute 3161974 in relation to funerals. So with funeral escorts, there's a lot of room for interpretation, and that's how so many companies have been able to do so much within that gray area that it creates. However, that being said, the caveat is that you made this point in one of your other videos. Throughout years of going unchecked, you know, with all these minor traffic violations and going over the double yellow here, or maybe busting a little BS red light there, going way too fast, it has compounded and, you know, spiraled out of control to where this is what you see now. It's going 100 miles an hour, lights and sirens, you know, slamming people's hoods. And it's a problem, dude. It's a problem. Everybody's been telling him it's a problem for a long time. None of us like this. None of us want that. You know, to be real honest. And I'm sure he'll watch this stream. I'll send him the link later so that he can watch it. We're still in close communication. But
sure,
you know, like I said, I work for him now. But we're trying to, and obviously, I've had these conversations with him personally where. He understands now, but it's a day late and a dollar short, because he's already completely hemmed up. He's all over the news. He's, you know, drowning in mountains of legal fees and everything else. So he's learned now, you know, after the fact, that this behavior can't continue anymore. However, like I said, day late and dollar short. So now it's just survival. We're trying to survive. We're trying to retain the clients that we have, which they're happy with the way that we run. Don't be confused. Just because one guy, in this case, Jeremy, decides to go 100 miles an hour or yell at a driver here, that's not a reflection of all of the rest of us that you're not really seeing in any of these videos, which probably, thankfully, for a good reason. I don't want to be in any of the videos personally. I know a lot of us don't want to be in these videos, but that is in no way, shape, or form a reflection of how we want to be portrayed, or the kind of attention that we want. We take pride. I know me personally, and two of the other guys that I won't name names, but we take pride in running a clean escort because we feel good about it. There's no accidents. Everybody gets there safely. It looks good. It feels good. And at the very end, it's like, wow, hey, that was a good run. Yeah, you know, and we all kind of, you know, fist bump each other. That was good. Cool. That was the way it's supposed to be done. You know, but all this extra stuff, man, it's nobody's with it. You know, I'll put it simply, nobody is with it. So I don't want the company to go down the toilet because of his choices. So hopefully it's salvageable, man. That's the only thing, because I depend on it. You know, a lot of us do.
And I agree with you. I've seen some good stuff come out of it. But there are things, obviously, that we've been pointing out that I think have finally caught up to him. And I do want to say, regarding your what you're saying about the way that, how much people like the services. I do have BizList, Orlando BizList USA, and if you look at the reviews, because it has the website, it has a description, it has reviews, and there's some great reviews. This company is the most professional you or a family can ever ask. Don't read past the green thumbs up. Today, my family had to bury my father, a colonel in the United States Army, so on and so forth. They called the local police. I've read this one. They called the local police. The local police said, yes, we'll do it, then canceled last minute. They contacted Metro State, and they were very, very happy with Metro State. I know my father would have been more honored with the way they provided services than anything I could ever ask for. So people like this company a lot, but there are issues, obviously. I mean, Dewitte has made some people unhappy. There are possibly some employees, certainly not all of them. I have another, I was telling you guys about a Reddit article I found before any of this came out, just where people were starting to go, hold on a second, what's this all about? Let's see. And so, yeah, on the corner of Mills and East Colonial today, I saw a ton of these guys heading downtown. What's up with them? And this guy, I mean, people were confused. People were saying, oh, it's a, they're for higher security. And so people are confused about this, this company. But the reviews that are written seem pretty good. This one's 2017. This one's, some of these are 2020. So the question is, when were these written?
Not to interrupt you, man, but let me just
say
this.
Go ahead.
One of the whole things with the reviews, the clients like it. You made that point earlier. The clients like and I hate to use the term police-like because it's the last thing we want to be associated with at this point. However, there is a market, especially in Florida, Central Florida particularly, who, for a police style, quasi style motorcade, where, a service is provided to kind of resemble the authenticity of an official vehicle. And there's many companies that do that. Curtis being one, Primary Protective being another. There's, I could go down the list. So they're much smaller companies, and they haven't put themselves on the radar quite like we have, unfortunately. So they're not getting, the attention that we are. However, a lot of these people, especially in other areas of the country that are unfamiliar with, what is Metro State and what is this and what is a funeral procession? If you lived in Orlando, you would likely just, like I said, I have one of the cars sitting in my driveway. You'd likely just look at the car and assume, oh, that's probably just another security company or whatever. To me and to someone else looking at the car, it's obviously not law enforcement because there's so many security companies here, and even other random little companies that kind of mark their vehicles to look official while not quite being official. That's nothing new. There's nothing illegal about that per se. There are certain statutes that I've read into that would prevent a person from decaling their vehicle or painting their vehicle in a way to resemble a law enforcement agency.
Right, there are certain symbols that have to be avoided, right.
Right. 5-point star for one. That's a big no-no. There's a specific statute all about the 5-point star.
Oh, yeah.
And ironically, there is another escort company in West Palm or Miami, I believe, that uses the 5-point star right on their motorcycles.
Yes, we
granted,
actually...
that company is, it's run by a retired cop, so I can tell you that's probably why he's not getting messed with. But, the whole long story short is, man, the clients like it because we try to provide, a safe escort from point A to point B for the families of the deceased. And we try to do that in the most respectful way possible. Again, I'm saying we as in speaking for myself, speaking for the other guys that I work with. I'm going to go out on a limb here. And like I said, he's going to give me crap for it later. I'll send him the link so he can watch it. But me personally, I don't think that he needs to ever put on that uniform again. And I don't think he ever needs to get on that motorcycle again.
I think
that's my honest opinion. He just needs to run the company administratively. He needs to collect the checks. He needs to, if he wants to be involved in other administrative ways, I'm not necessarily opposed to that. Again, it's not my decision to make. However, with everything that's happened so far, it's time to have him step out of the field.
Sure.
Because you know, I can tell you this. I've gone actually yesterday to a couple of different areas to go and scout for more accounts, for more funeral homes. And, you know, it's embarrassing to me that, you know, 2 of the 5 places I went to immediately knew who we were, immediately had, because it's a small industry, you know, with funeral homes and all that, funeral directors, everybody talks. And everybody right off the bat, oh, Metro State, oh, wow, you guys are all over the news. And of course, I have to go into the conversation every time. Hey, listen, you know, that's one of our guys. You know, I don't want that to be a reflection for the entire company. That's been handled. That's been addressed. You know, just give us a shot. And, you know, and if you're happy with us, you know, hopefully we can work together. And so because it's a little different than security, because in security in the state of Florida, there's 1,000,001 companies, right? Every retired cop has some mom and pop company with a B license.
Right.
With funeral escorts, there's really only 3 companies in Central Florida. The biggest and primary company being Metro State. Secondary would probably have to be Curtis, which only does a few escorts a month. Not many people use them because they cause accidents. They've settled a couple lawsuits because of accidents that they've caused and been at fault for it.
Yeah, in the beginning of the stream, actually, I had a news article from like Channel 10 News from last year, over a year ago, basically talking about this rise in issues with this type of company. They didn't mention Metro State, but they did. I think they mentioned the one you're talking about, because they brought up accidents that have been caused and how a 5-point star was being used and they're not supposed to. So I think it's not just Metro State that there's an issue with. I think the people see this type of thing and just sort of assume everyone, you know, it's just the entire industry.
Right. Well, you know, and a lot of people have made the presumption that he has created this agency in an effort to look like a law enforcement officer and to create a quote-unquote fake police department. I'm going to try to keep my personal opinion out of it as much as I can while being sort of unbiased. I think his goal, was ultimately to create an authentic image in an entity that essentially he found a way to create. And I don't want to say the word loophole. He hasn't found any loopholes in the law. The law is just very vaguely and ambiguously worded when it regards funeral escorts. So, me being a capitalist and you know, I'm a constitutionalist and I believe in freedom and liberty and I love this country and the right to be able to create your own company. And so, if he found a way or an avenue to create a company that is utilizing that law and that need for that market for funeral escorts to capitalize on, and he's become successful, then hey, more power to him. You know, give credit where credit's due. However, I think that maybe just like with many people I'm not saying everybody would, but I think you get a little caught up with, you know, the gravitas and, you know, the allure that it has with all the uniforms and the cars and having all these people working for you and a chain of command, and it's almost like you get lost, you know, and that appears to kind of be what's happened. Is I don't want to say he's let it all go to his head and he's gone out of control, because he's a good guy, and I know most people are probably like, oh man, what are you talking about? You know, he has a good heart. He's been there for me personally when I've needed help several times. It's almost like, I don't want to say he acts harder than he is, but there's 2 Jeremys, right? There's the Jeremy that everybody talks to, you know, you can have a conversation with, you can laugh, he can be like your brother, he can be like your friend. And then when he gets on escort, it's just like, man, you know, who are we dealing with? He turns into a totally different guy.
Now we saw that in the Chicago video a little bit, where he was very, I don't want to say aggressive, but the difference between him doing these escorts and then him talking to the police, there was a huge difference. And I definitely believe that he has 2 different personalities that he puts on for different things. I mean, everyone does have different personalities that they use for different situations. It's just the difference, I think, is so extreme.
Right, to an extent. To an extent, everybody will have a different person. Just like, for example, if I'm working security, I'm going to act differently in a
Right.
professional capacity than I would to where, if we were hanging out having beers. It's two different
Exactly.
me's. But like you said, the contrast is it's so huge that it's concerning. And obviously, like I said, to touch on another point, it's so bad that I'm getting harassed for just simply driving a Metro State vehicle off the clock when that would have never been an issue. I used to be proud of that. I used to, because me and the other guys take pride in what we do, and it used to be a kind of a cool benefit to have a company car and be able to just go straight from the house to the funeral home and not have to go to the office. It's something you earn, and now it's almost like I'm shunned. I'm shunned in the city that I was born and raised in for drive. I even have friends that are like, "Oh man, you work for that company?" Oh, blah blah blah. So it's a huge disadvantage for me now. It's no longer a benefit. It's if anything, it's a negative for me to even have that car sitting in my driveway. I'm surprised my house hasn't been egged yet, because as you can imagine how much attention this is getting on the internet. Well, in Orlando, everybody knows about it, man. Everybody's talking about it here. So, I mean, even random clerks at gas stations, have seen the videos on YouTube. So, my only thing that I wanted to kind of put out there, in the ether for everybody to understand is that, okay, funeral escorts are perfectly legal. A couple of the issues that you touched on was, well, the vehicles and the escort shall be as close as reasonably possible. That is a valid point. However, per my understanding, and this is exactly why we've been able to continue doing what we've been doing for so long, as far as not leapfrogging, but getting up ahead of the actual procession, which we are technically part of. We would be the closest vehicle to the next intersection would technically be the lead vehicle for 316.1974. So that would mean me, or that would mean any other employee in a Metro car that has been contracted to to protect this procession. It can change. It's fluidly changing. So whoever the first person is now the lead vehicle. So if they go up a mile ahead to the next light and they wait for the light to change green and then turn on the lights and then sit in the intersection, that's perfectly legal. The Highway Patrol doesn't have a problem with that. They've never had a problem with that, because that's how you fluidly get the procession to move throughout the city without clogging up traffic behind you.
And if Highway Patrol has given the okay for that, I can't argue with it. That's perfectly reasonable. My concern is that he may be misinterpreting the statute, and that may have been one of his misinterpretations. But if Highway Patrol is saying go ahead, that's a valid, in my mind, a valid legal defense if there are issues regarding that specific thing that I've been talking about with the leapfrogging.
Right. Well, I also wanted to throw this out there, too, for everybody who's been kind of following this case. This is a little bit of information that you're not going to hear on the news or anywhere else. Sergeant Vidler is an Orange County Sheriff's deputy, and he is the lead of the motor division for the Orange County Sheriff's Office. On every single arrest affidavit that you've seen come from the Orange County Sheriff's Office, that's all public information. It's all out there on Real World Police's channel and everyone else. They are signed by Sergeant Vidler. So Sergeant Vidler is getting ready to retire. This is an Orange County deputy who I found out through a couple of records requests. Back in the day, he's been a cop for over 20 years with the Sheriff's Office, and he's been a dirty cop for many of those years. He used to go around to barbershops back in the day and extort the barbershop owners for their licenses and say, hey, you just give me this much money, we can leave it here. And, he was extorting people in the community that he's supposed to protect. So that's all out there for anybody who's curious and wants to do research. It's Sergeant Keith Vidler. Well, he's getting ready to retire here. And the word within the community, within our kind of internalized funeral escort community, is that he's getting ready to go to Curtis and head up their funeral escort division. So the way that we're seeing this is that, for one, he doesn't like a company that's non-law enforcement running around with police-style looking motorcycles. It rubs him the wrong way, for one. Secondly, because he takes it personally and he looks at it kind of like you're playing in my sandbox sort of thing. You know what I mean? Like, I went through all this to become a sheriff's motor officer, and, how dare you, just put some lights on a bike and, race around. So that's his attitude, for one. Secondly, because he's getting ready to retire and go work for our main competitor, our only real competitor in Orlando, he views it as, well, why not just kind of kick Metro down into the dirt while I'm at it too? Because I'm going to have to address that later down the line anyways. So he's made it his personal mission, when really no other law enforcement has for many, many years, to go out of his way to essentially follow us around on escorts. I've seen him personally in an undercover Ford Fusion. He tried to run us off the road one day. He didn't run me. He ran one of our motorcycles off the road in a road rage incident, trying to bait us essentially into reacting or doing something against him. Jay wasn't even on the escort that day. So he was literally trying to, mess with us, and he almost caused an accident with us.
Now, when you say Jay, you mean Jeremy Dewitte, correct?
Correct. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. That's his nickname. That's what everybody knows him as, is Jay.
Sure.
And so there's a local feud going on between Jeremy and the Orange County Sheriff's Office, and it's opened a big can of worms. However, I will say, I'm not going to say that it's completely unwarranted.
Sure.
Because as everybody can see, his behavior has
timing is
gotten out of control.
The timing is a little suspicious, though, is what you're saying.
Right. Well, I know for a fact that Vidler is retiring. I know for a fact that Vidler is a dirty cop. Okay, and because everybody can go and look at his record and all his disciplinary actions that are against him, it's all public record. And I know for a fact that he's the one signing all the arrest affidavits on everything. Everybody can, it's all him. It's Sergeant Vidler this, Sergeant Vidler that, Sergeant Vidler this. So he's like a one-man pony show, literally trying to drive Metro State into the ground, and he's going to do it by whatever means that he can. I can tell you that, and I don't think there's anything wrong with me saying this because it's going to come out later. We have video surveillance of Sergeant Vidler going to our office and opening one of our windows and reaching inside to unlock the door with no warrant. We have all that on camera, and that's going to come out after the fact.
When that comes out, when you guys release that, or when it gets released, please let me know, because I'd definitely be interested. And if you have information to send me, I'll look it up myself, but just in case I miss something, if you want to send me some of the stuff you're talking about, I definitely love to look into it, because
I can't send any of that
story.
because, we're obviously, his attorney, Amir Ladan,
of course, sure.
He's handling this in the procedural way that it has to be held. So we have to handle his defense for all the charges first. And then, once we do that, we can come in, and sort of kind of come back at them with everything else they've been doing. And they're looking at a couple of lawsuits. Their objective right now, unfortunately, is to just bleed us dry financially so that he cannot defend himself and so that he cannot come after them. Look, I'm all for justice. I'm all for if somebody does something wrong, you correct them, you discipline them. I'm not with berating motorists. I'm not with the unprofessional demeanor. I'm not with, the cussing and everything else at random people. I think it's distasteful. I think it gives us a bad look. I don't think law enforcement or anybody else respects it. However, if you're going to correct somebody, and if you're going to be law enforcement, if you're going to crack down, do it the right way. Don't be sneaking around, reaching in people's windows and unlocking doors and everything else, because at that point now it's like, ooh, okay, what's really going on here? Because it kind of just appears to me, as somebody who's on the inside, that the Orange County Sheriff's Office, specifically pertaining to Sergeant Vidler, is going to shut him down by whatever means he can, as kind of like one last little salute, So long as everything is done there, and however, he is looking at serious charges. We don't exactly know whether he's going to be, spending time in jail. Nobody does. That's all going to be up to the courts and how this plays out. However, it's been my advice to him personally that he steps down out of the field and refrains from riding on escort anymore. He is not taking my advice. He's very hard-headed. He's passionate about what he does. He believes that he has built this company and this is his baby and this is his empire, and why should he have to step down, and why should he be bullied out of, doing what he loves? I get that. I understand that. However, at a certain point, you have to kind of take responsibility for what you've done, and I don't quite see that happening yet. I'm just telling you personally, everything is a downplay, everything is an excuse, everything is some sort of justification. Just like you saw, and I've already had this conversation with him. Okay, everybody remember the video we just saw about with him in Chicago throwing chairs off a balcony, he's sitting there, but Sergeant, Sergeant this, Sergeant that. I said, dude, why would you throw a chair off the balcony? I mean, just stop. I said, I don't want to hear any excuse. I said, just stop. Why on earth would you ever think that that's okay? And first of all, it's a rental truck, bro. Who cares? If you're getting your rental truck towed off of some property because of whatever argument or dispute you have with the Airbnb and the property owner, who cares? Why are you going to throw a chair? I mean, dude, it's you got to stop the madness already, brother.
Yeah.
You got to stop.
It seemed disproportionate to the events. I do have some things I want to say regarding Dewitte. I think it would be a great idea for him to work the administrative stuff. I don't know if he would be able to. It feels to me a little bit like he's built this company to engage in something that he is not able to do otherwise, which you said loophole. And it kind of is that, but it's fair. He found something that would give him almost what he wanted, which appears to be a police officer. Unfortunately, he can't be one at this, based on his past actions. But he's gotten the closest thing, and I appreciate someone who's able to sort of figure out a system like that. And good for him. I have no problem with that. And we talked about the look of his of everything he has, and his look is not illegal. The issue is the actions that he's taking with that look would cause a reasonable person to believe that he is a police officer and follow orders they wouldn't otherwise follow, which is a concern. We talked about a potential dirty cop, which I am very excited to learn more about, and I think that is very interesting because the question has come up: why hasn't this been an issue before now? And now there's even more reason that it is, and that's great. So I'm really glad that you decided to talk to me. I feel like I've learned a lot. I'm sure my chat has learned a lot, and there's definitely some new angles I want to look at this from now. I do have some questions about, and this comes from the chat. They had some questions about it. The gear that Jeremy wears. He has a ballistic vest. He carries handcuffs. He has the pepper ball gun. Now, to my knowledge, he doesn't have the required security licenses to be a security company. But the fact that he has that gear, which would be used in a security sort of setting, and the fact that his website says he offers elite personnel for VIP and executive protection, seems to indicate that he is a security company, and that one of the things that you're purchasing when you buy his services is security. Have there been any issues with that?
Here's the thing. Essentially what you're getting is you're paying for the illusion of security. And I don't want to say the illusion of security as in you're actually getting security.
Sure.
What you're getting, and in itself, for everybody who's curious about the laws regarding the open display of the baton and the pepper ball gun.
Sure.
He's a felon. However, he is allowed to possess a pepper spray or any device therein that can administer the pepper spray.
Absolutely.
You'd have to look at the specific wording on that statute, but he is allowed to carry that. Everything else, as far as handcuffs, the baton, the taser, the pepper spray itself, all of that can be legally possessed by anyone. You don't need any specific licensing or permits. Any random person off the street, any random Joe can openly display a taser or openly display handcuffs or openly display a baton. Any person can also wear body armor. There is a limitation to a felon purchasing body armor.
I've talked about that on stream before. The question was asked. It said he can wear it. He just can't necessarily buy it.
Right. Well, as far as I know, the body armor was gifted to him, which if that's the case, then that's perfectly legal.
That doesn't seem to be a problem.
He just simply can't purchase it. However, the look of the duty belt and all the gear and everything else, which is now, coming back to haunt him, the entire purpose of all that gear is to create the image of authenticity, which is what the clients want.
Absolutely.
And again, having all that gear is, one, perfectly legal. There's nothing illegal about having any of that gear. So as everybody watches the arrest video and of the Windermere cop going, why do you have handcuffs? Why do you have pepper spray? Why do you have this? I got one answer, because I can. It's legal. Anybody can do it. And so if you're wearing all of that stuff for the purpose of looking apart, which is authenticity, then that's perfectly fine. What the issue is now, his actions with random motorists in combination with looking like that, in combination with riding a motorcycle with lights and sirens, in combination with having all that gear, well, now we kind of have a different situation, because now we have all these circumstances at play in conjunction with one another that's giving the impression to a reasonable person that he would be a law enforcement officer, right? And that's why we're in the situation that we're in.
That's the
barking
issue.
Commands and orders and everybody else. So if it was just a matter of the gear and just a matter of the uniform and the cars, we wouldn't even be talking right now. There would be no story.
Absolutely.
But because of the gear and the lights and the uniforms and the fact that he's berating these random motorists, that it's called a bunch of attention to himself, now we have the issue. Me personally, and this is just my personal opinion, I don't think the impersonation of law enforcement officer is going to stick. I think he's going to plea down to something much lesser. He has a really good attorney. I'm not saying that's an excuse or like he's going to get away or anything like that. But he also does have a good defense. And I'm not here to bash him because I care about the company and I care about him as a friend. And like I said, I'm going to give him a link to this later, and hopefully this can give him some perspective because I know he wants the good stuff to be out there too. My whole issue is the way he interacts with people when we're on escort. Because like I said, I can't get behind it. None of the other guys can get behind it. This is a really good thing that we got going that's basically getting destroyed, by the actions of one man. We're doing over 10 escorts a week, man. Before we were doing more than that. So the business is booming. The need for a funeral escort company in Central Florida and all over Florida is huge. There's almost nobody capitalizing on this. That's why we're essentially running a monopoly in Central Florida. That doesn't mean that you can just go out and act however you want to act and, become unhinged. However, the Windermere video, and I'm kind of jumping all over the place, when he was actually arrested for impersonating a law enforcement officer, I thought that it was kind of ironic because in that video, never at any point did he come close to impersonating a law enforcement officer. On other occasions, like the videos that you see that were obtained from his body camera that day, where he's telling people, stop, sit there,
Right.
Those are, to any reasonable person, commands. And they may be interpreted as lawful commands, depending on how he looks and everything else. And that's something he needs to understand. And that's something I've explained to him.
That is his biggest problem right there is the orders combined with the look.
That I've tried to make for the longest time. Dude, I said, we don't have any ability to enforce anything on anyone. I said, the only thing we can do is we can act as guardians to our procession, placing our vehicles between the actual procession and the other random motorist, and just sit there with our lights on. And if some idiot wants to blow through or, flick us off or say, hey, you guys aren't cops, I'm not listening to you. Who cares, man? Let them go. Let them go. It's not our job. And you know what? Shame on them for disrespecting a deceased person and disrespecting a deceased person's family. You can't stop for 2 minutes to let us pass. It's somebody's final moment in life, so to speak. So if they can't stop for that, then shame on them. That's bad on them. But it's not our place to chase after them or yell at them or bark at them or what the F are you doing or pull the F over. It's just simply not our place. And me personally, I've never done that. All of our other guys that I work with have never done that. So, again, it's the actions of one person that is basically giving the entire company a bad name. And you'll notice this with a lot of companies, security companies. It happens all the time. People, like you said, he kind of got into it for motives, you know, looking the part and acting the part and things like that. That's perfectly reasonable to assume. I'm pretty sure everybody assumes that at this point. However, there's a lot of people that do that in security and in other fields to kind of maybe look more than what they are. I actually saw a company that does roadside assistance, and they have a bunch of Crown Vics that have roadside or road patrol, and they're very ambiguously marked. And it's like, okay, what in the world is this? You know, you can tell it's somebody trying to be something that they're not. If it was just a matter of the cars and the lights and the uniforms, there'd be nothing wrong, except for the actions that he's taken against some of these random citizens in a town that we live, citizens in a town that we work, that we're hired, you know, to protect the loved ones of people who have passed away. I don't think he quite understands that, because he kind of just lives for the moment, and he lives in the moment and only in the moment.
Yeah.
There is no real looking at consequences until they come up, and then when they do come up, there's always some excuse or reason or justification. And that's, I'm going to be real honest, man. You know, I know several people in my life that are like that. That's a personality disorder. Okay, that comes down to somebody who doesn't know how to take responsibility for their actions. And what you see now is somebody with a personality disorder that doesn't know how to take responsibility for their actions, in addition to having some desire to look like an official person, and has an adrenaline fixation, you know, with speeding around on a motorcycle and with the horns and the sirens and the lights, while looking so, you know, authentic. It's a recipe for disaster, and that's why everybody is so entertained by what they see here, because it's literally the worst combination you could possibly have. Somebody who has put themselves in a position of such a limited, and don't get me wrong, we do have an authority, so to speak, you know, and I say that very lightly, okay, because only in regards to a funeral procession do all the other motorists have to yield the right of way to us. That doesn't give us the right there. So there are limited abilities within that statute, but that's no different from the funeral director herself or the driver of the hearse. You know, they have all the same capabilities. We are not law enforcement. We have no ability to, you know, order anybody to do anything or to stop anyone. Now, video that I was kind of concerned with when he's slapping the guy's hood.
Yeah.
A lot of people didn't really notice this, and you know, a lot of people don't ride motorcycles and stuff, but
sure,
the guy was literally running up onto his leg. Okay,
like
literally pushing his leg into the block of the engine on the motorcycle. If you wanted to pull it up for your live streamers, you can do that. However, he did he drove around and put himself, you know, kind of in harm's way, so to speak. But never at any point should that be an excuse to run somebody down or run your vehicle into someone, because the way that I saw that video play out was that motorist should have never been in the escort to begin with. One.
Sure.
Two, I don't know if he was drunk or if he was under the influence of something, but the guy looked like he was out of his mind. Like he didn't even know what planet he was on. He's like, huh? I didn't understand what was happening here. You know, he's in the middle of the escort. It was for a fallen law enforcement officer. The entire motorcade is probably about 100 yards behind him. And you have some idiot that's sitting in the middle of the road running into one of our motorcycles. So, you know, I'm going to be honest. You know, when he's slapping the hood going, hey, stop, I didn't interpret, and remember, this is coming from somebody who knows him.
Sure.
I at no point interpreted that as, hey, stop your car, I'm a police officer. I took that as in, hey, stop, you're like effing running me over, get off me. Like,
see, that's reasonable.
Because if you would have continued driving, you would have knocked him over onto the ground. So you can pull the video up if you want, man, and for your viewers and show
absolutely.
them.
Yeah, I'm looking for that right now. I don't think it's in this one.
It was DeWitte Gone Wild, Seminole County edition.
I was in the right one. Hold on. Which part? Oh man. Yeah, no. If his leg's being rubbed up against, that's definitely, a valid reason to get a vehicle's attention as quickly as possible. That seems reasonable to me. I didn't see that happen though. So if that's the explanation he gives in court, that's a good one. Let me see. I gotta find it. That's the problem. I don't know if any of you guys have a timestamp. While I'm finding it, I do have a question. I have heard rumors that another employee of Metro State has been arrested for impersonating an officer. I'm wondering if you're able to mention anything about that, because I have very little information. I'm wondering if it's not just Jeremy, but if there are other people that are being looked at as well. I don't know if you're still there. Oh, laptop died. That's unfortunate. Well, thank you so much for talking to us. He's coming right back, though. So, in case he doesn't, that was an unexpected treat. I actually very much enjoyed that. Well, while we check that out. Oh, how's it going, Alec? I see you. Just having a good time up in here. All right, this is where he runs out of gas. This is where he had the badge. And he's allowed to have that badge. It's just, it sort of highlights the issue of wanting to look like a police officer. That is the LA County symbol. Where is it? It's around here. Yeah, here we go. That symbol right there. It doesn't say police officer. It says motor officer. It has a badge number, which is strange. And I guess it does say Metro State. But this right here, that's LA County. So, not illegal, but highlights one of the concerns, right? So I think the idea of Jeremy Dewitte going to a desk job is a great idea. Oh, was that you? What just happened? There was or maybe he got kicked for inactivity, I think, because his laptop died. There are concerns. There are certainly concerns, and there are some good points made. I'm not looking for this company to be shut down. I'm looking for Jeremy Dewitte's actions to be toned down, right? I think, and as I've said it before, I just wish someone had addressed, and apparently people have addressed it. I just wish it had been received, and it hadn't gotten to this point. Where's the part where he hits the vehicle, though? So I wouldn't be surprised if DeWitte gets to plead this down. I think he does have some decent defense. Not great, but he does have, there are defenses I can see being used. I don't think he's going to get away with it scot-free, but I think he will be offered a plea deal. Depending on what he's offered, maybe it will be in his best. 4 minutes, you say? Oh, I'm way in front. 4 minutes. Is what you guys talking about? Talking about 4 minutes? Or are we talking about 4 minutes from there? No, because where he's saluting. Is this the one where he hits the car? It is. It is towards the end. Oh, my bad. You'd think I'd know. I've seen this video. I don't remember much happening after this point, though. Oh, 4 after the gas. All right, so the gas was here. So 8 and then 12. Let's see this right. Let's get some audio there. It's about here. Let me skip ahead.
You can safely. As we get to the
Should I just like go to the end, go backwards? Construction site. That's right. Because it was at the cones. Is this it?
Up here.
Hold on, I have a. Sometimes you gotta go through the transcript.
I need a unit. I got a traffic light right after. Oh, Alan's hot.
Yeah, this might not be. Just threw my shoulder.
I threw my shoulder out. Jesus Christ.
Oh wait, here we go. Is this it?
Hey! Hey! Hey!
Oh, this has got to be it. This has got to be it. How close does it come to his leg?
Get out of the way. Move your foot.
I would say no. I would say no. The vehicle was already stopped, and he was cutting the vehicle off intentionally. I'm gonna give that a no, as far as using the defense that it was dangerously close to his leg. Now maybe there's something I didn't see from that angle. This is probably a slightly fish-eyed lens. No, the thing that's gonna kill him for this is that the vehicle. Oh no! Wait! The vehicle does start to move forward again. See that? It is still moving.
Move your foot. Get your fucking car out of the way now.
Okay, no, I'm wrong. I'm wrong. The vehicle does appear to brush into him.
Move your foot.
Right there. That's going to be tricky. That's going to come down to legal arguments made in court, I think, for sure. The question is, was he right to stop this guy like this? Is the guy turning? I can't see his steering wheel.
Get your fucking car out of the way now. I don't know what you
And he does seem very confused. I'm not going to say he seems completely out of it. But no, that's a good. I'm glad that was brought up. I am glad that's brought up. I want to do it just one more time. The guy is still moving, and he is. I mean, that's real close right there. I'll give it to him on this one. I could be convinced. I could be convinced that it made sense to hit the vehicle to get the driver's attention to get him to stop. I could be convinced. Now, the question becomes, at that point, whose fault is it? Is it Dewitte's fault for getting in this guy's way? Or is it the guy's fault for not turning far enough to the right, to the point where Jeremy thought he was going to get struck if he wasn't struck? Time to move it at the Tahoe's blocking the road. That's interesting. Very good legal point. Reading through you guys' comments right now. How are you guys doing, by the way? Did you enjoy having a live conversation? Because I feel like that's kind of the way to go. I should try doing that more often. Comments at. Just gonna... Okay. What would have been the right thing for the guy in the car to do? Well, I don't know. If he had been able to... Yeah, he can't turn right because that vehicle's blocking him. So the only thing he can do is go through here. Which I'm guessing is what he's trying to do. It was a bad situation. It was a... That's not gonna look good for Dewitte. Just... Yeah, I can't see him winning that one. Yeah. Now, if that vehicle hadn't been there, I'd say that car should have turned farther right. But there's a vehicle there. You can't turn into it. You can only go this way. Doesn't look great. Let me see. A fake cop should get a ticket. There's a lot that's going his way right now, unfortunately for him. Give me a second. While APR said he's coming back. I'll waste some time while we wait. What do you guys want to talk about? I'm just here having a good time. I do worry about him, though, because he said a lot of things about the company. So I hope it doesn't come back to bite him with Jeremy and all that, being like, hey, why'd you talk about the company like that? I sure hope it doesn't. I'm not out to get anyone. I'm just pointing out things that are done incorrectly. But it sounds like if APR is an employee, and stuff he says does match other things I've been sent by other people, so I have no reason to doubt him. I mean, it sounds like he's been with the company a while, and Jeremy wouldn't want to get rid of him, so hopefully he's safe, job-wise. Jeremy is super laid back. Relax. Blue, can we have my first name? My first name is Blue. It's not actually, but that's the name I go by while I do these things. There are people out to get me. I don't know. Well, I'm very hesitant to give out my personal information. I have given out some, and people used it against me to try to, just for nefarious purposes. So I try not to give out more than I'm comfortable with sharing. There is information out there that gives you a general idea. Oh! Well, it sounds like I don't need to stall anymore. He's back, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully the audio works. This time I'm a little nervous.
Yeah.
All
Okay,
right,
can you hear
perfect.
me again?
I hear you again.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I mean, like you said, man, I was watching the stream while I was charging my laptop,
Mhm.
but you know, hopefully there's not going to be any blowback. But he has to understand, you know, I'm trying to do multiple things. For one, I'm trying to be a friend to him because he's been a friend to me when I've needed help.
Sure.
And secondly, I'm trying to do what I can to try to clear the company as far as this is not everybody. I've heard a lot of people, you know, nasty people online in the comments saying that, you know, he should die and all the Metro employees should die. And I mean, this is just, it's really quite disgusting and immature. The bottom line is this is one person that's just gone too far. It's made several mistakes back to back to back. And I'm all for paying for your mistakes, and I'm all for justice, and I'm all for going through the system. However, that being said, this is still a lawful effort in which we are trying to pursue funeral escorts. Funeral escorts are perfectly lawful. If people have an issue with funeral escorts, you know, I suggest write your legislators, you know, try to get them to change the law. But in the meantime, the law is what it is, and it isn't what it isn't, more importantly.
Sure.
So the use of the sirens, technically illegal. Air horns are perfectly legal. You can use any horn, so as long as you can justify there being a hazard that other motorists should be aware of. And so the justification for honking in and honking out of the intersections when holding them would reasonably be that there is a hazard that other motorists should be aware of. That
Yeah, I can
hazard
see
being
that.
a funeral escort.
I didn't know that
So
about
that's
air horns.
perfectly legal.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm convinced.
And I only use the air horns. Okay,
Sure.
there are the lighting and siren packages. It's all wheel and equipment. Okay, it's all top of the line equipment in these vehicles. There are sirens and PAs and everything else. However, I don't use the sirens. I only use one button, and that's horn, and that's perfectly legal to do. If somebody else wants to take it upon themselves to ride that line and use the siren, it's setting themselves up for failure, just as you see here, because it's technically not legal. And even though it might be something that, again, this is not just Jeremy, this is not just other people who do escorts. There's so many other companies. If you go on YouTube later on your own time, you can look up a company called Primary Protective Services out of West Palm. I used to work for them back in the day too, several years ago. These guys are running red and white LED lighting,
Ooh.
360 degrees around their vehicles. A lot of them are unmarked, and they're running sirens, the howlers. I mean, you would think it's absolutely law enforcement or some sort of a fire vehicle or some sort of an authorized emergency vehicle. And this is in Florida, same state, same laws. Okay, so it is a little curious so much, and I think that's a contributing factor to maybe why he's continued to. And again, I'm trying to word this as carefully as I can, but trying to almost, I don't want to say seeing what he can get away with. Okay, I know that's what everybody's thinking, but I think that's why. I mean, if you want to look at it in context, look at what everybody else is quote unquote getting away with. Look at the other escort companies running red and white lights, using sirens from the minute that they leave the funeral home until the minute that they pull into the cemetery. That's completely unlawful. So, and having unmarked vehicles with red and white lights, very confusing to motorists. Nothing legal about that at all. You're not supposed to have red lights facing any other direction except rearward. That's Chapter 316 of the Motor Vehicle Penal Code. So they are essentially getting away with a lot more than Metro State is getting away with. So for everybody who's curious about that, there's other companies that are doing way, way, way worse as far as violations of an equipment violation. I don't see them going 100 miles an hour and berating motorists. So again, that's probably a contributing factor as to why they haven't been messed with.
I think.
But I'll try to answer some of your questions and some of these guys' questions if they have like real questions and they're not just.
Well, there's a fun one that I think it's not a real question. But someone did ask what your code name was over the radio. You don't have to answer it. I just.
I won't,
that's
just
fair.
because
No, that's perfectly fair.
I'm not personally trying to put myself out there or anybody else that I work with.
Perfectly fair.
I can tell you this, man. Look, I'm married with a 6-year-old son, okay, and all the guys I work with are reasonable people, and a lot of the other people I work with have kids and families, and we're just simply trying to, because for one, the money is good. The money is good, and the job is very easy. It's only about 2 or 3 hours out of any given day that we run an escort or two. And if we can do 2 or 3 back to back and knock them out in less than 4 hours, well, you made quite a bit of money in those 4 hours. A lot more money than most of the people in this chat are making going and working a 12-hour shift. Yeah. So there's an incentive. It's not for fun. We don't go do this for the sake of dressing up and, playing a game. This is real money being exchanged here. In case anybody hasn't noticed yet, the company has over hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of liquid assets.
Oh yeah,
we
were talking about that
and everything else. So this is not a for fun thing that we do on the weekends. This is real money exchanging hands. That being said, it needs to be done correctly and it needs to be done lawfully if we're going to continue with our efforts of running a legitimate business. A lot of people have mentioned the fact that he is not a security officer and nor does he possess a valid B security license. In the state of Florida, okay, the wording on that is if you look into Chapter 493, it mentions that a licensed security company may perform a funeral escort. However, it doesn't say they must. Okay, and the wording is very particular, and I know you can appreciate the wording in the statutes. Anybody can perform a funeral escort. There is no license or permit that one would need to acquire to run a funeral escort. You can literally put a bunch of purple lights in your car and make some business cards and register a name with Sunbiz and call yourself whatever company you want. And go around to funeral homes and say, hey, I do funeral escorts. Would you consider hiring me? And that's all there is to it. As long as you get a signed contract from that funeral home stating that you were an authorized escort vehicle for them, it's a done deal. There is no permits and there is no licenses. So you don't need a B license to perform a funeral escort. Any random Joe can stick lights in their car and perform funeral escorts, just to clear that up for everybody.
Well, that's fair. My concern was always that on the website it advertises as a security type basically escort. So I think if he's going to get got for not having a license, it might come back to that as being that's how he advertises himself, and he carries the gear to be security. But there's a good defense. The statute, if anyone can be the, it really comes down to how he's sold it to people, right? In the talks with how it's supposed to go down.
If you're offering or soliciting a security service in the state of Florida, you would need to have a B license to be a licensed security agency.
Mm-hmm.
He does not offer any security services to anyone.
Got it. So I assume that's made clear during the actual back and forth about the price and the services provided.
Provide security to anyone. I think the wording on the website is designed in a way, even though he specifically uses the word security and protection and things like that, I think that's kind of to fit the bill of the actual escort itself. For example, we are providing a security in a sense for the funeral procession, meaning that we're going to keep them from getting, struck by other vehicles.
Okay, sure.
So maybe in lieu of using the word safety, he's using the word security, which he has to be very careful with, which that's another thing I'm going to bring up to him when I talk to him, is the whole website needs to be changed. A lot of grammatical errors.
That's something I pointed out in one of my videos, is there's some issues.
Yeah. Well, it was kind of like, it was rushed and, thrown together and when business was picking up and things like that. So all that stuff needs to be addressed. But no, we don't actually provide any security to anyone.
Yeah, I'd recommend making sure
that's just safety for the vehicles and getting them from one place to the other. So I guess in that sense, we are maybe securing the escort itself. But again, got to be careful with that wording, like you said.
That is fair. I don't know if you know this. I just asked because the chat's asking. How much does it cost, would you say on average, to hire Metro State to provide transportation to, I don't want to say the word security now. If I had a funeral and I wanted some sort of police escort, and I was looking at Metro State, do you know, or would you be able to tell me what the price range would be for that?
I can't tell you the specific rates that we charge, but what I can tell you is that in Central Florida, the average going rate, first of all, if you wanted to hire law enforcement, you're probably out of luck because the Orange County Sheriff's Office no longer provides funeral escorts.
That's what I've heard, yes.
Who's not law enforcement. They'll only do an escort for one of their own fallen deputies or another law enforcement officer. They don't do civilian funeral processions anymore because, ironically, they were causing too many accidents. They were sued several times, and the sheriff had to crack open his checkbook multiple times. So they're not very good at it. The reason why Metro State has done so well is because, for one, we don't cause accidents. We cause a hell of a lot less accidents than the real cops do. And secondly, there's nobody else doing it. So again, he's capitalizing on a market that has no competition. It would cost you, on average, anywhere from $150 to $300 per driver. Okay, and so if you had a large family, and that's per driver per run. So if you're going to go from, the actual funeral home to the church, and then you're going to go from the church to the cemetery, that's 2 runs. So you can view that as, at bare minimum, 150 times that times 3 or 4, depending on how many vehicles, or 5 or 6, depending on how many vehicles you had in the escort. You're talking thousands of dollars in a few hours.
That's
and another thing I want to point out for everybody, and this is public information, okay? This is no secret for anybody who wants to talk about his business licenses and everything else, or call the IRS and everything else. There are no taxes associated with funerals. Funerals are tax exempt. That's a federal regulation. So you do not need to report the earnings made from a funeral. You also do not need to pay taxes, anything related to a funeral. You don't report them, you don't pay them, and it's just pretty much all there is. There is no taxes involved with a funeral, period, point blank. There's a federal law that is very specific about that. So it's not a loophole, it's an advantage. Essentially, what happens is the funeral home pays for service. That money is obviously given to them by the family, and then the funeral home donates that money right to the vendors as for whatever service they provide. Whether it be like the flower people, it's not just the escort people; it's everybody involved. If they're working with a florist and they have a regular florist, if they're paying that florist for say 10 bouquets of flower, they're not paying taxes on those flowers. It's for a funeral. You understand what I'm saying? So there's no taxes involved with funerals. So he's not avoiding paying taxes or anything like that. I've seen that brought up multiple times. That's just simply not the case.
Okay. Well, if that's true, I don't know much about taxes. I'm telling my chat right now. I'm like, I honestly can't. I don't know. I'm looking up taxes right now. I'm struggling. I use TurboTax. Not sponsored, folks. I don't know much about taxes, but if that's the case, and it's weird that people in chat stop asking about his 1099s and W-2s, you weirdos in chat. It's a strange thing to ask. But
well, everybody here who seems to think that they know so much more about taxes, then why has he been in business for 9.5 years and never paid a dollar in taxes, and he's in good standing with the IRS? If you guys know so much about it.
That's fair. I can't
don't
argue
go
with
10
that.
years. You don't go 10 years, brother, avoiding the IRS when you're making that much money.
It is difficult. It is difficult to avoid the IRS for 10 years. I've known people who tried. My plumber's a sovereign citizen, and he tries very hard to avoid the IRS, and it has not worked out for him. There's a lot that I really should report him for a lot of the things he does, but he's a good plumber, and if he's not filing his taxes, we certainly are. So that's irrelevant to this. That's not really relevant.
Right.
I don't see any other questions in the chat. I feel like you've more than answered any of mine.
Also, let me just throw this in.
Sure.
I'm looking at the chat. Everybody mentioning the eviction. The eviction was from the previous office that we had, where there was a fire due to a bad lighting fixture. Oh,
that's right. I do remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, and there was a dispute between the landlord, with him not wanting to basically take responsibility. And it led to an eviction. We didn't want to continue paying the rent. It led to a lawsuit. I don't know the disposition of the lawsuit between him and the landlord. I don't know if that's still ongoing or what, but he filed for an eviction, to get us out of the office because we had stopped paying rent for obvious reasons. The office was completely burned to the ground and it was unusable, and you couldn't even occupy it. The fire department shut it down. So, no reasonable person is going to continue paying rent. It's like if your apartment burned down because, the appliances were bad and your apartment complex expects you to keep paying rent even though you can't live in the apartment and it was their fault that your appliance burned up. That's not reasonable and nobody would do that. But in no way, shape, or form did he get evicted from that office because he couldn't pay the rent.
See, that was my question. I didn't know what a lucrative. I didn't know he was doing that well. So I had put forth the theory that it might have been financial issues. That's good to know, though. That's a completely different side of the story. That's very good to know. And I definitely am glad that information's been put out, because I was speculating. I had no idea what the deal was, but in my experience, generally an eviction is because someone doesn't have the finances, as opposed to someone, why would you pay at that point if the place is burned down? So that's really good information to have. Not seeing any other reasonable. There are other questions. They're not reasonable questions, though. Behave yourself, Chad. Behave yourself.
All right, well, everybody's obviously entertained by this, but not a lot of people actually want to get down to the nitty-gritty of the facts.
That's fair. That's one of the reasons I wanted to do a few live streams on this, because things kept popping up. I wanted to give an opinion on the legalities of it and what is or is not appropriate, and which is one of the reasons of why I'm really glad that you popped in, so we can really discuss it, because there's a lot. I don't like speculating that much. I'll do it, but I'd rather have the real information. So you providing information, under the assumption, of course, that you are who you say you are, and I have no reason to doubt that, that is definitely going to give me some stuff to look into, for sure, regarding this.
Well, everybody asking where he's at, he's not in jail, okay? I can tell you that 100%. Secondly, I wouldn't advise calling funeral homes and trying to, defame him or his business, because for one, there's issues that you might face with that civilly.
That's illegal. Do not do that.
Yeah, so I would recommend strongly against that. However, also that's the primary issue. Secondly, that's going to put all of us guys who are not associated with, his actions, his personal actions that he's taken, and that's going to potentially hurt us and our ability to make money when we're not doing anything wrong. So I would advise against that for two reasons. For one, it's illegal and you can be sued, very easily and successfully. Secondly, it's not good for any of us that need the job and have families that we have to support. So I would advise against that.
No, very good point. Generally under
Also, he's
telecommunication
not
or
going to turn
electronic
himself
harassment.
in because he's not an outstanding fugitive. So you can't turn yourself in when you don't have an outstanding warrant to educate you guys on that.
Yeah, no, they know where he is and they can find him if they need him. They're not. This isn't a turn yourself in kind of a thing.
He's not outstanding. He's not a fugitive from justice. He is complying with this legal process to the best of his ability.
He's a fugitive. Oh, Greg. I'm looking at you, Greg. Well, I feel like we got everything we need to get. Thank you so much for spending your time telling us about this.
No problem.
All right.
No problem.
And if there's anything else
and
you
like
have,
I said, I don't do this to try to shame anybody or put anybody out there. I just want to give some people, the perspective that maybe they don't otherwise have. That this isn't really in proportion. All of these videos have kind of come to light so rapidly,
right?
And so close to one another that it seems like he's out there every day just being some menace to society.
Right.
It's not an everyday thing. This company's been around. He's had this company for 9.5 years, man. And like I said, there's nothing I can say or do that's going to justify his actions that he's taken on escorts that are inappropriate, that are unprofessional, that are unlawful, that are unreasonable. I don't stand behind that. I don't condone that. I've told him personally that I don't condone that. And I've told him that if he continues, that I will no longer be working for Metro State because I cannot advocate that. So
sure. Well, that's something that was brought up was the videos we see are collections of incidences, and doesn't mean that
I'd
it's
really
happening
like
all
to
the
know
time.
who this multiple shots fired is. Is this somebody that you've been fired from Metro State? Because he seems to know a lot about it, like a disgruntled employee or something. I was just curious before we end the stream here who he is.
Multiple shots fired. If you want to, feel free to answer or not answer.
Just curious. Did you used to work for Metro State? Multiple shots fired.
Office storage unit. I'm curious. I'm not trying to call anyone out, but
Right. So,
but he's just a fan of the whole drama, I guess.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think I'm gonna end the call here. Again, thank you so much. And if there's anything else you have, please feel free to reach out to me either through my comments or my email, which is sergeantbluebacon@gmail.com.
Well, when all this clears up and, if you're still interested in it down the line, I can try to get you an interview with Jeremy himself.
Absolutely. Once this is all over, because I don't want to do it. I was thinking about calling him to see if I could get an interview. Right now, I'm thinking that's never going to happen because obviously his attorney is going to say, do not talk to anybody until this is all over. But once it's all over.
One more point I wanted to bring up that David brought up just now is that why are the videos being posted if they're evidence? That's a very good point that his attorneys brought up, that typically the FOIA requests for public information, that's not available to the general public until the disposition of the case is closed. So it is very unique in this circumstance that Real World Police has been able to obtain videos which are evidence in an open investigation. In any other case, that would result in a mistrial almost immediately. So that is an interesting fact that he brought up, and that is going to be brought up in the proceedings because that is a concern. It's in no way, shape, or form can you possibly get a fair trial when the investigation is ongoing and the case is open, yet all of the public is able to essentially watch these videos and develop their own opinions, it's going to be almost impossible to pull a jury, if it got to that, of non-biased people who haven't witnessed any of this stuff. All of these cropped, edited videos. So it's a good point that he brought up, and that's being addressed. Trust me.
Yeah, that is something I don't know if someone in one of my chats asked me or someone outside of my chats asked me about it. I don't know how all that works with releasing evidence. I was never in the... someone recently just said this to me. I feel like...
I didn't say it's 100%.
No, of course.
The TX packet said that's a myth. Look,
it's definitely interesting.
Always, almost always. Okay, you can look up for yourself. Almost being the key word, always. These videos that are submitted as evidence in a criminal proceeding are not available to the public until a certain stage within the proceeding that we are not yet there to. It's just, my whole point is the videos were released prematurely and they were posted online prematurely, almost in the very beginning of this case, which is very bizarre, and that typically never happens. That's all I'm saying, and that's true. You guys can look that up and try to prove me wrong on that if you want.
Yeah, generally it's things released, to my knowledge, if it's, there's a strong public interest in releasing it. So, stuff is often released if there's a police shooting, right? Because if the public should know what the deal is. But this, I don't know what exactly the public interest, the strong public interest would be. And I don't know how much that really factors in, because I was never in charge of, knowing how to release this kind of information. But that's definitely something that is an interesting thing
also
to bring up.
Keep in mind, I've done several public records requests throughout the years, and it usually takes me a couple of weeks.
Oh yeah, they're lengthy.
It's even taken me 3 months for one specific record that I got from Orange County, because they have 10 days per the Florida Sunshine Law to comply with your request. That doesn't mean they have 10 days to furnish you with everything that you've asked for. They just have 10 days to basically
say yes
open
or
the
no.
ticket and start working on your request. Now, how long that takes them, that's another issue. They have a reasonable and ample time to provide the records that you've asked for. But usually they're not going to just flood you with everything you're asking for, days after you've requested it.
Yeah.
So it's a little peculiar in that respect.
I think it might be, this guy's been doing this for a long time, doing these public records requests. So I assume he has some sort of, I don't want to say pull, but he has a reputation. And I think that might have helped them send it out. I'm not saying that they were right to do it, but I assume that him having filed so many requests, he may have filed some with that very same county. They may, some of the officers may watch that channel. I don't know. But that may have contributed. And that's all speculation. But it's definitely possible.
Well, I can tell you this, just finishing up on that. I did a records request with the city of Windermere. Actually, I did a records request requesting who requested the information.
Really?
So, yeah, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
A lot of people probably don't understand, but I did a records request asking for the individual. And again, you can do an anonymous records request, but all I asked for was the date and the time that the original records of these videos were requested. And they finally responded back a few days ago and said that they had no records indicating that anybody had requested the videos.
Interesting.
So that is interesting in itself as well, because obviously they're all over the internet. So either somebody leaked them or somebody requested them.
That definitely is... Wow. You keep bringing things up. Wait, I'm going to do that again.
The plot thickens.
All right, you'll see it in the stream. It just keeps getting weirder a little bit. Like, it's not, like, super weird. I've seen weirder than this, but they're just these small things that are making me go,
Well, there's a lot of things that are concerning with this whole case, and that'll all be addressed later. But in the meantime, I'm sure everybody's going to continue to be entertained by everything, and that's fine. The only thing I'm concerned about, me personally, is, and this is for everybody, not just for him, but if you or myself or anybody else in this stream would ever find themselves in a legal situation to where they wanted and expected a fair and reasonable trial, I don't think anybody would want all of this to be put out there in the public ether prematurely so that everybody could develop their own opinions on it before it actually goes to a trial. So that's all I'm saying. I don't think anybody would want that or appreciate that. So just because, he's gone out and done some of the things that he's done doesn't mean that, he should be deprived of that liberty to have a fair and reasonable trial. That's all I'm saying.
That's fair. I can't argue with that.
Well, I appreciate your time, man.
All right. No, thank you.
And if anything, I'll feel free to reach out to me.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thanks, buddy.
That was fun and completely unexpected. I thought it was going to be a short live stream today. It was not. And I'm glad for it. Well, thank you so much, APR, for that conversation. Because I don't know about you guys. You guys think what you want, but I definitely heard some things that I want to look more into. And I definitely always love to hear the other side of the story, because it's so easy to only take one side of the story and forget that maybe there is a reason, right? I think that Jeremy has an uphill battle. But based on some of the things that were said, the release of the information, interesting. It's definitely going to possibly affect a jury. That's for sure. The fact that there might be some other reasons why this is all happening now. Why, with Keith, the officer that he was talking about, certainly interesting. I'm sure that's going to come up in court. The hitting the car, I'm glad we talked about that, because I didn't even realize that, the vehicle was about to hit him. Now, do I agree with him putting himself there? No, I don't think he's really got much of a defense. And I think a lot of his actions were definitely still wrong. But it definitely helps to sort of reduce this idea that Jeremy Dewitte is, I don't want to say a complete monster, but some of you in the chat sure seem to think so. I'm interested. I'm going to be following this case because I've become invested enough that I want to see it through. And no, I'm going to agree with you, Kai. Pounding on people's cars is not the right move. I now understand a little bit more about the situation. I don't agree with what led to it, but I understand it. I don't think he's going to get away with. I think that's going to work against him for sure, though. Man, that was interesting. And I have another potential interview with another person claiming to be a former employee of the company. So we might do this again. But no, he did turn into the back of the car. You're right, and that's definitely what's working against him, because that car didn't really have anywhere to go. But there's a big difference between hitting a car because you're angry at them and hitting a car because they're about to hit your leg, regardless of the fact that you put yourself in the way, which obviously is going to work against him. But yes, Carlos is the one. His other name I don't remember. It's good times. And yeah, maybe he's not an employee. Maybe he's not. But some of the things he says does match what I've heard from other people. So if he's not, he's certainly done his homework. I agree with it. He's completely in the right, by the way. What are we talking about? No, bear in mind, guys, I still think Jeremy Dewitte is in a lot of trouble. But now we have a little more information about it, which is definitely a good thing. So don't think I'm on his side. I'm not on his side. But I definitely think that he's going to have some issues legally. So good times. Oh, someone asked me. All right, someone asked me where I got the name Blue Bacon. I was looking for a name. I was looking for a silly name, a memorable name. And originally I was thinking Cop Talk, right? It almost rhymes, Cop Talk. But it sounded too serious. I didn't like how serious it sounded. And I ran it by a couple people. I'm like, what do you think about Cop Talk? Is that too serious? They're like, yeah, you're not a super serious person. I can be. Hey, let's calm down. I can be. I often choose not to. And so I started going through, what are all the slangs for a police officer? What are all the, what are some words? I was looking for alliteration. I was looking for something memorable. and I stumbled across blue bacon just out of the. It just hit me out of the blue. I was looking at different words for bacon, basically bacon, pork, pig, whatever. And I saw bacon. The word blue came to me and went blue bacon. It's kind of like blue waffles. Don't Google that, by the way. I'm like, that will be memorable. And I ran it by some friends and they loved it, and the name stuck. So, oh, DCM, that's a hell of a joke. Oh, I'm not going to read that. Anyway, since the question was asked, how did you get the name? So, anyway, what are the questions? No, Specklebelly, why'd you Google it? I'll be honest with you guys, I've never Googled it. I know what it is. I've never Googled it. And God, I hope it stays that way. Oh, Nasty Nathaniel's back. What's up? How's it going? I saw you. There were some issues with you in the library. I didn't actually watch the video yet, though. But at some point, I'm sure I will. Anyway, questions, folks, before I get out of here, because I've been doing this. How long have I been doing this? 2 hours, 40 minutes? It's been a long stream. Chat's crazy today. All right, go on, get out of here, yous. Yeah, I mean, it's late some places. We've been doing this for a while. Yeah, what? Guys, I love that live chat thing. Talking to people, discussing it live. It's a good time. I'm going to try to do more of that. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway. All right. I feel like we're winding down. Had a good time. Thank you guys so much. I don't think I'll be streaming for the next few days. I got some stuff I need to take care of. I got some of my main videos I have to work on. I should have named myself Billy Club. So I don't think I'll be streaming tomorrow. Might change. Maybe. Don't know yet. But yeah. Let's see. Where's my thing that I stream out of? So I can shut y'all down. Nope, it's gone. Alright. That's good. Nope, there it is. What do we talk about today? Oh, Repo, you missed it. We talked to someone, supposedly, and I have no reason not to believe them, that, hold on, I gotta say this again.
The plot thickens.
I just love it so much. Alright. We talked to someone claiming to be an employee of Metro State. So it was a good time. Now, I have no reason to believe they're not. Have I seen, the paperwork that they've signed? No. Do I feel like I need to? Not really. No, I'll trust them. Repo, YouTube didn't notify you. Well, the good news is it should all be watchable. So hopefully you don't have any questions of your own, because I won't be able to answer them. But if you want to switch to like halfway through and listen to the interview, there's some good information put out. So, you guys didn't get alerts. I'm sorry to hear about that. I wish I could. I think it's on YouTube. Shame on YouTube. Was I in law enforcement? Yes, I was military police for approximately 6 years, to include 4 years as a criminal investigator. So, yeah, I had my day in the sun. If I was a person on the highway and he pounded on my car, I would start documenting it immediately. I'd get my camera, I'd start taking pictures, I'd start calling the police. I wouldn't physically respond, but because that's dangerous, and the legalities of it get questionable. I'd definitely document it and submit a report. All right, my Discord. Before I get out of here, I have a Discord channel. I'll leave in here. The link will only be good for a little bit. So for all of you who are here in this live stream right now, you're probably gonna get in on it. But everyone else, maybe not so much. So this link is good for 24 hours. Shkablamo. And I'll pop in and out of there. And there you go. So if you guys want to join in, I pop in and out of there every once in a while. And share your memes. Talk to me about stuff. Can't promise I'll get back to you, but I'll try. I didn't find the Craigslist ad. I didn't. I tried. I couldn't find it. All right. Yes, my email. Let me just make sure it's correct. Shkablamo. And there's that. I think it posted before I said it, which is, I'm sure, a weird thing. Hey, maybe the guy was coached. Maybe he was. Maybe he was the lawyer. Some of you are saying that. And that would be some spicy meatballs, guys. That would make me very happy if that was true. And maybe he was coached. It's entirely possible. It's entirely possible he wasn't. Conspiracy theories abound. But I think we got some good information. The guy went to law school. An asset to this community. I appreciate it. I try to be. Specklebelly Goose, your question. I'll show it because it's a good question. If you wrote derogatory words on an American flag, would it be considered desecration? No. Desecration is really interesting because it prohibits certain things, like defacing a flag. It prohibits using flags in certain ways for commercial purposes. So you can't. There's a whole thing. However, the Supreme Court has ruled, look, the freedom of expression trumps this statute on desecration. So if you're desecrating the flag by tearing it up and putting it into Molotov cocktails, and throwing it, yeah, that's desecration. You're not protected by the First Amendment because that's not protected speech or protected activity, really. However, if you're writing things on the flag, if you're burning the flag, that is protected because you're expressing something. And even in the statute, the Supreme Court basically made them right. Look, if you're charged with desecration, you can take this case directly to the Supreme Court. You don't have to go through all these other appellate courts and whatever. I believe it says that. We can check that. Why not? Desecration. 18 USC desecration 700. I was right. It is 700. God, I'm good. All right, so let me pull this up for you guys because I've had this talk a few times and all right. So 18 USC 700 desecration of the flag of the United States. Intent, so on and so forth. An appeal. All right, so an appeal. Once you've already gone through the court once, right? You get your ruling. Generally, you'd have to go through an appellate court. You'd have to do your possibly the state superior court, maybe a circuit court, and then the Supreme Court. You have to go through all these things. So after the ruling, if it wasn't to your favor, the Supreme Court has basically said an appeal may be taken directly to the Supreme Court of the United States from any interlocutory words are hard. I don't know that one. All right, or final judgment, decree, or order issued by United States District Court ruling upon the constitutionality of subsection A, which is up here somewhere. And the Supreme Court shall, if it has not previously ruled on the question, accept jurisdiction over the appeal and advance on the docket and expedite it to the greatest extent possible. So if there's not already case law on the specific circumstance of the charges, the Supreme Court's basically like, look, when you appeal this, if you want to appeal this, we'll take it. Right? Appeal it directly to us. You don't have to go through all the other steps. We'll look at it. And Hardesty, I take issue with defacing the American flag. I don't support it. But I support your right to do it, if that makes sense. The First Amendment protects it. All right, cool. My personal feelings are not going to get in the way of that. Will I keep inviting you over for brunch and mimosas? Probably not. Assuming we went to brunch and mimosas. Assuming I even go to brunch and get mimosas. So, yeah, it's going to put a damper on how I think about you. But am I gonna start, burning feces on your porch? No. Good. That's basically it. I may not agree with what you say, but I'll fight to the death for your right to say it, more or less. Technically, putting the two words on what is similar to an American flag makes a completely new flag. Oh, I have an entire video on this. Well, sort of. I have a video on the thin blue line flag. So, sort of. Depends on how close it is. This is the Bikini Atoll flag, or Bikini Atoll flag, depending on how you want to pronounce it. This area used to be owned by the United States, more or less, and they used it to drop bombs, atomic bombs, test atomic bombs. This entire flag, when the Bikini Atoll became its own sovereign nation or whatever, it was given governing ability of itself, they designed their flag to look like the American flag. And almost all of this basically points out, hey, you nuked us, and you haven't done enough to repay us for it. Yes, what's too close, though? Exactly, good question. No, all right, so it really depends. It depends entirely on the flag. Is this too close? Apparently not. And if you look at 4 USC 1, which is the flag code, how closely does it have to meet, the 13 horizontal stripes alternating red and white? What if it's alternating white and red? Is it still the same flag? 48 stars, white on a blue field. Now we think, hold on, we have 50 stars, and that's true, except that this part of the statute says that when new states are added, new flags get put in, and that's usually done through executive orders. Now, this is the use of the flag for advertising purposes and mutilation of the flag. So any person who, within the District of Columbia in any manner, this only applies within D.C., I believe. So it's a whole thing. Flag law is complicated and weird, especially since there's a lot of it that can't be enforced entirely anyway. So, like, position and manner for display, or of display, should be flown in a certain way. Not that it will be flown legally. So the flag code is kind of weird. There's an island north of Scotland for sale for $500. Oh my god, I want that. The catch is that it was used for anthrax testing. Ladies and gentlemen, I am immune to anthrax. Well, maybe not immune, but I've had anthrax immunization shots through the military. I would buy that. Malaysia and Liberia, good points. Yes, Malaysian flag. Malaysia flag. Pretty close. You got the alternating red and white. You got the blue. It's not as the stars, but there's the sun and the moon. Very close. Liberia, I know, is also one. Liberia. Yeah. Yeah, look at that. Look at that. That's pretty close. How close is it, though, is the question. Does it meet the criteria of being an American flag? Technically, no, because it doesn't match everything that's in 4 USC. 4 USC 1. But, God, there's a lot of legal debate that could be made. Yeah, I don't know what the taxes thing is. I'm going to take his word on it, since I'm not the one filing the taxes, but that's definitely, I would do, if you guys are planning on starting your own funeral company, I would definitely check that. I don't know if that's true. I'm not a tax guy. I don't enforce tax law. So yeah, no, it is not like the Texas flag. A Texas flag being Texas flag. Yeah, very similar. You got that. I mean, different, but similar. So the idea, I mean, I get a lot of people like the thin blue line flag is desecration of the American flag. That's not the American flag. 4 USC 1 specifically states that it's red and white alternating. This is black and white with a blue stripe. Is it technically the American flag? Apparently not. Now, do you have to like the thin blue line flag? Of course not. You can hate it all you want. I will personally disagree with you. I understand some of the concerns, and I do understand that this flag is used for purposes that was never intended to be used for. But, oh no, Raging Loon, you're fine. I've said, I've been called worse. Oh man, all right, speckled belly goose. Let me see. So technically, if your commander orders you to follow the UCMJ, not support extremist groups, and not fly the Nazi flag, then as long as you alter it just a little bit, you are safe under the UCMJ. UCMJ is tricky. UCMJ is very tricky. It's technically like a sort of a different set of laws. Your commander can't order you to do things. You can refuse them if they're illegal, unethical, or immoral, right? But if you get an order saying don't fly an extremist flag, which is an order that's put out, like I'm not allowed to fly, even in National Guard, I cannot fly an extremist flag from on my own personal property, I think. maybe. I know in active duty I couldn't. I don't know about National Guard and how strict they are. Not that I would, by any means. Don't get me wrong. I wouldn't do it. But if you change it, is it still an extremist flag? That really depends on the commander. The military is a lot more strict about that sort of thing. So, worst, best case scenario, you get away with it. Middle case scenario, they say, all right, we're altering it, our order under Article 92, which is, Article 92 is failure to obey a direct order or a lawful order. One of the two. So if they order you, do not fly flags, all right, well, I'm not flying the flag. But then if they issue a new order saying don't fly anything that is similar, and if you have questions, come talk to us, and then you still do it, now you can be charged under Article 92. So, all right, see you, Hardsty. It's, yeah. So there are tons of different types of aligned flags. So you have green is generally military or corrections. Red is fire department. Purple is EMTs. Thin line flag. Let's check it. Let's check that. Some places don't have it exactly right. Yellow is dispatch. I've never seen yellow out in the wild. I've seen red. Yeah, red is firefighter. I've seen green. Oh, red and white is nurse. Blue and white is EMS, according to this. Now, other groups do it differently. Yeah, gray is corrections. Emergency is blue with the white through the middle. Military and corrections being green as well. So gray and green, both as well. Security is purple, but that's posed. That's not a recognized thing. Yeah, there's... that would make sense, because that's what they use for the flashing lights in Florida. What does this say? This doesn't say anything. Thanks a lot. Yeah, so there's... like, blue is recognized as law enforcement. Red is recognized as firefighters. The rest really depends. Because white is EMS, but that was different elsewhere. It's the whole thing. So, what's orange? We have this, which is dispatch, and then yellow being security. But earlier it said purple was not the official, but something they were thinking about. And emergency is the whole thing. So yeah, I think it's what you're talking about. Orange is dispatch. I don't know, but yeah, no, extremist flag. And if it's a good commander, and they're like, hey, take that flag down because we consider it an extremist flag, cool. If it's a commander that's out for blood, they gotta fun with it. Search and rescue is orange. Let's look that up. Search and rescue flag. Oh, it is. Look at that. Yeah, orange search and rescue. You're cheating, I see. Okay. Using my screen. Getting a little thirsty. Been talking for 3 hours. Can the blue line flag reasonably be considered political during these times? Yes. And that's because... So, for those of you who don't know, the thin blue line has been around for a while. I think it started as the thin red line in Britain. We can Wikipedia this. Thin blue line. And we get off that. And we do. So, it's meant to represent the police and the separation that they create between order and chaos. That is its intent. It's not supposed to represent... Blue Lives Matter. Is not supposed to represent white supremacy. The problem is some of these groups have started to fly that flag as part of their organizational marches. And so it is seen as a direct counter to the Black Lives Matter movement. And I don't disagree with the Black Lives Matter movement. I disagree with some of the ways that it is run, some of the information that is put out, and sometimes there isn't enough fact-checking. But I think that it is a legitimate concern in some areas that police officers treat certain people of certain racial backgrounds differently. That's a whole different topic. I could spend hours on the history of that and how it's affected the geopolitical nature of it. I'm not going to do that for this stream. I'm not. But so the thin blue line, yes, began as an allusion to the famous thin red line when a British infantry regiment held off a Russian cavalry charge during the Crimean War in 1854, where red referred to the color of the British uniforms. So that was changed to the thin blue line, and there's all sorts of variations here, as we see. Israel, England, Canada, United States. There's controversy. Yeah. Yeah, counter-protesters in Chicago 2016 carried black and white U.S. flag symbol, show support for police after shooting of Joshua Beal. Counter-protesters carried the symbol in confrontation with another group of protesters who felt the shooting was unjust and racially motivated. So it's, yeah, seen by some as desecration of the U.S. flag. I do not agree, but some people do think that. This one's interesting. The Multnomah County Courthouse removed the flag after it gained notoriety with the Charlottesville white supremacists. I think it was eventually returned because the argument, it was explained to whoever removed it. There was an area where it was removed, and basically the police sort of sat down whoever removed it and said, hey, we're not associated with them. This flag is not associated with them. And there was a good talk, and the person who removed it is like, I admit my mistake. I don't know if they ever put it back up. Maybe it was the Montgomery County Police Department that I'm thinking of. In Maryland, was gifted the wooden thin blue line flag. It was a very nice thin blue line flag, by the way. Made by a citizen in recognition of National First Responders Day, the wooden flag was put up in the 5th District Police Station, which is the kind of place where it should be, right? Maybe not a courthouse. I agree that maybe a courthouse isn't the best choice because it sort of alludes to support of police over the suspects, which I think calls into question the impartiality of the judge. But in a police station, it makes sense. So there's backlash from the public. The flag was taken down. I think this is the one where the police were like, hold on a second. No. But it's DCM. But that's the thing. Oh, well, you see Raging Loon MPs on base. They can absolutely enforce that, though. Riding a motorcycle with shorts as a base protocol. Off base, no, just whatever. Now, I always felt that things should be treated. If you could do it without yelling, you didn't need to yell. I've yelled at people, but it needed to be done for safety reasons. Six Flags amusement park is because of the six countries that govern Texas. I really want that to be true. We're looking that up. You know what? Screw ending the stream. I gotta find out more. Six Flags Texas. I don't really know how to search this even. No. Alright, hold on. This will get me there. I just want Six Flags. I thought I could get to it this way. I can't. I could have just searched it in Wikipedia. What am I doing with my life? Six Flags to America. Repo Man, I need this to be true. I say it's property in Canada and Mexico, theme parks, founded in Texas. Alright, Six Flags was founded in Texas on August 5th, 1961. You guys remember the ad? The dancing guy on the bus with anyway, am I that old? Alright, Six Flags over Texas. I had it right the first time, you bastards. Alright, so we gotta go back to the origin. Six Flags over Texas. There's the first Six Flags theme park. But why was it named? Yeah, you maybe remember it then. Park management. Origin of the name. Oh my god, you're right. My mind is blown. Alright. This is the best part of my day right now. It's finding out that Six Flags refers to the flags of the 6 different nations that have governed over Texas. That's so weird. I've never really thought about it. I'm like, Six Flags of fun. Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm getting real excited about this. I don't know why. This is stupid trivia. Oh man, I'm gonna be breaking this trivia out forever. Did you know that Six Flags is named because 6 countries ruled Texas? No, dude, nobody cares. What? It's gonna be the reactions. It's gonna be... What? That boggles my mind. And it's not in any way relevant to any of this. And I love that it was brought up. I don't even care. This is amazing. This is... I'm so happy. Anyway, I feel like that's the spot to end this. With that, like, it can't get better than that. It cannot get better than that bit of information. Repo Man, thank you. Yeah, I guess Texas people know this. No, I spent very little time in Texas. I think I've just been in an airport in Dallas, I want to say. One of those countries with the Confederacy. Yeah, the Confederate States of America. You're absolutely right. It just got better. Oh, man. Well, they didn't have it for long. 4 years. More years than I've owned Texas, that's for sure. Anyway, I gotta get out of here before we go down a rabbit hole. All right, you all have fun. This is a good time. We've had a good time here, I think. I think this was a very good stream. And, of course, I'm going to have to do it again sometime soon. But I don't know when the next time will be. So I'll keep you guys updated. And you know the drill. All the usual stuff. Till next time, be good and stay safe.